depending on how long I want to go this time. Hopefully I get an audience. If I don't, it's also okay. It's for Jethro and Lucy. Gilbert lets me identify which video it is because there's many. So that's it, take one. What is this I found? It's a drawing. There's some other thing that I did about 100 years ago. I found this drawing. I mean, it even looks like an ancient map. I think this was for Claude. You know, all these 9.3. I mean, where the fuck? 2.35. 35, 50, 90, 9, 9.3, 23, 4. In the toiletries bag. Maybe when I went to China, I don't know. But all the medicine is going to now go in this bag. So. I think medicine and sewing. Medicine and sewing. Cheers. This
from the manufacturing powerhouse that is China through Russia to Iran, the mechanisms for that are already in place. The trade that runs like that has already occurred. So the United States has to wonder not just about the capacity of Iran, but of the willingness of Russia and China to support Iran. It's a little bit like Russia.
Because they're fresh out of the gate, aren't they? Oh, so this sewing kit.
Once it became clear that the United States and Western Europe was going to help Ukraine with missiles and drones and everything else. In order to answer that question, you have to wonder what's going through the mentality of Russia and Chinese leaders.
Fits in there nicely. Oh, nicely
And
enough.
my fear is
My sewing kit.
that what
Now my drugs.
Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov said yesterday, he
One.
was quoted as saying lines to the effect that this is the beginning of World War III.
Where's my rat poison? Where's my rat poison? I need my warfarin, otherwise I'm gonna die. Where's my rat poison? Hello?
For many, many years, saying that in the minds of the planners and thinkers there, we're not dealing with a localized event, we are dealing with a
My rat poison.
And if it's a global, and if it's even vaguely World War III,
These must go into
then Russia and China cannot then logically
compartments.
step back and say that Iran will have to rely on its own capacity to produce.
I'll put those there.
That's not going to happen. The stakes are much too high to make that assumption. And if you don't make that assumption, then where
That
are
I'll
you?
stick down for emergencies.
Their own missiles and
So
drones,
that's taken
or
care
the
of.
limitless supply that will be
And then
available to them, if it isn't already, they can keep the Strait of Hormuz closed forever. They can keep lobbing drones and missiles onto the Gulf states, not just the American bases there, but the desalinization plants, the electric plants,
Desalinization plants.
facilities in
This here
who's
is
going to stop them?
what will
The
stop
Iron
you
Dome hasn't saved
from
Israel.
blowing your brains
All
out if
kinds
you
of
have toothache.
damage done by the
If you
missiles
don't have this,
from Iran. The United States can't either. That's why you get the crazy proposals from the likes of Lindsey Graham and other marginal characters here in the United States. They're advising Mr. Trump to use nuclear
constraint. Use
weapons to destroy
constraint.
Iran
Tap.
literally. Or else, the best one I heard last night
No, the best one is
widen
constraint.
the Strait of Hormuz by dropping nuclear weapons into that area. You know, I understand this is all crazy stuff, but it's crazy stuff that's becoming part
I'll
of
put
the
my
discourse.
travel brush
Because you have,
comb in there as well.
if John Mearsheimer is correct, and I
And
know
maybe
you
a
have him
hanky
as a
chip
guest, and you
for
know
hay
him well.
fever when I'm on the plane.
He has said from the beginning, there is no way out of this. Mr. Trump has no way out. And the implication of what Mearsheimer has said all
You'll be
along
surprised at what Mr.
is that
Trump
don't
is
do
going to be
this
able to
because
bullshit
you
his
have no
way
way
out of.
out.
You're
And
going to
Mr. Trump
see
did it
exactly
anyway.
what he's going to
And so now we are living with what
bullshit his way out of.
if he has no way out. But I'm telling you again,
Just love the
and I want to
taste.
stress he will disappear, politically anyway, when the internal fiscal disaster hits here. If he can't prevent the election, if he can't
That's what I used to
control the election, and if he is
flush my
defeated,
ink tanks
which he will be if he
printer
runs
thingy
for
out.
president, at this point, there's no question.
Blah.
Now the question becomes whether he will go or not. And then, and that's where we are, then the issue becomes the American military establishment. Where will they go? Because you will have reached a point in which the country is split 60-40, and the only conceivable control mechanism becomes the military. And then who knows, because he is busily creating his own military. To give you an example,
One of them douchebag things.
the refusal of the Congress to fund
That'll
the
work
ICE,
just fine.
the private army that
Wow,
they created
this is
to
old.
deport immigrants. They have now brought them into
This is
all
so
the
strong,
airports
it's actually
here in the
melted the
United States
packaging.
because
It's called
the
Spray
budgeting
Safe.
meant
Spray this on, it
people
kills
who
every
constantly
single
at the
germ.
airport are on strike
Not even Jesus can make a germ that this thing won't
because
kill.
they haven't been paid, because they can't resolve it. The Democrats won't let it go through. So Trump has decided to use ICE at all the airports. Okay, that's an expansion. The private army is now committed to deporting all the bad criminal
Oh, give me
immigrants.
strength. What else can we listen
And
to
now they're
that's
also
just
ensuring
as depressing?
security at all airports. You understand they're becoming an alternative military police apparatus, and they will be called in, and you can be very sure that the rest of the military are watching this with great concern, because they are not reliable for Mr. Trump.
Let's hear this.
Mr. Trump, and he
250,000
has to
views
do
in
what
one
he's
day. 250,000 views in one day. Because one man doesn't know what color curtains to buy. Gold or what other color is nice. What other color is nice? What other color is nice? This is a G-boy.
Jared Kushner. He looks like he's been on puberty blockers for the last 30 years. It's going to be a big problem for Trump with regard to Netanyahu. Because, you know, the first instinct of everybody is to blame somebody else. Israel tipped the balance, but that the U.S. had no interest. The U.S. had Iran in its crosshairs since 1979, when Tucker Carlson tweeted to Trump. And that was kind of touching. Marco Rubio, when he goes to the toilet, he carries his GPS to find his anal cavity.
I mean, there's so many questions here. Whether it even exists, why would they fabricate these quotes?
What is Netanyahu? Yes, in his youth he was probably smart. I'm not going to take that away from him. But now he's just a talented used car salesman. I say
Yeah,
to the Gulf states,
he's an idiot.
cry me a river.
They're all
I don't
idiots.
believe
Even
it's gonna
Nutlick.
happen again.
You don't mention Nutlick.
The war
Little
is over.
smiley
And if
Cheshire
you
cat
want to
motherfucker.
hit by traffic in both directions.
You seen that guy? He's smiling all the time like a Cheshire cat. Nutlick. Nah, I don't see him smiling anymore.
Hi, good day. Welcome to another episode of Unapologetic. I'm your host, Ashfaq Kareem, and joining me today again is Norman Finkelstein. Norman, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Norman, you're joining us today just the morning after Iran
Get
and
a duster to work
the US, or Trump and Iran have agreed to a ceasefire brokered by Pakistan. What's your read on the ceasefire?
Well, lovely.
Well, at first glance, didn't seem
I think I'm going to auction this on eBay or something. Auction.
not that
It's
I
an
really
antique.
like to calculate these terms,
Right.
but it didn't seem to me to be victory for Iran.
My first underwater camera.
For the United States.
I don't know if
You look
I've
at
shown
the
you before. This thing
And,
kicks ass. I
goals
mean,
or objectives of Trump over
Sure.
the past 40 days.
I dived the Red
He
Sea with
certainly
this.
did
I
say
took
at a certain point
dived
that he was
on the
not gonna
Thistlegorm,
settle for less
a ship
than
with Spitfires and BSAs sunk in the horrors of war.
did not get that. He did certainly suggest
The horrors of war. War just brings that. That's all war brings.
he didn't
That kind of
get
shit.
that. He clearly
And I've got my
suggested
feather duster.
that
Feather
were
duster.
expected to disarm Iran. That didn't happen. So it can be said with certainty
I think I'm gonna meditate.
Trump did not achieve any of his avowed aims. On the other
I've
hand,
got the color
Iran did say
of the monk that gave me the material to make the monk suit, and I've got to make the monk suit still.
it was certain that it wouldn't be a renewed attack
It's gonna need a wash.
a few weeks
Because it's
after
got
Israel
stained.
and
It's stained my
the
monk
United
suit.
States,
When I cut my hair when this
were
war.
prepared for the next
The
round,
story goes as follows.
and that
I
they
promised that I wouldn't cut my hair or my beard until the war in Gaza was finished. And I think that war's going to outlive me. So very soon I'm going to shave my head bald like a monk. I'll keep my beard. I'll be a bearded monk, and then I'm going to make myself a monk suit. A Hare Krishna, one of those like kind of O's. But not a Hare Krishna, a monk, a Tibetan Buddha monk.
That the critical role in achieving this ceasefire was China.
Ceasefire.
And China's
The bullets are
obviously
supposed to stop.
heavily dependent
That's what the
on
ceasefire
international
is
trade
defined
and
as.
also on
Not the way you guys are carrying
from
on.
the Gulf. And it also has allies among the Gulf
Let me
states.
put something else on. I can't
China
watch this
really
shit.
has no enemies. Or you could say in its immediate
Who doesn't have
environment,
enemies?
there's tension between it and Japan and it and Taiwan.
And they can't make chips neither because they haven't got helium. So what are they worried about Taiwan for? Trump signs death warrant for Iran. Oh my sweet Jesus, have mercy. Please don't tell me this idiot is doing something. totally
You were saying
irrational
you
again.
boosted the job data early when you're not supposed to obviously share it till the next morning. Did you do that on purpose?
No, I don't know. If they posted them, I said post them whenever you get a chance. I don't know. They gave me some numbers. I put when people give me
This
things,
is
I post them.
old.
But the numbers are amazing. Please.
That's the administration.
Yeah. It's old news, cuz the beauty of, let's see what's on live. US launches biggest strike on Iran. Trump impeachment voting live. No kidding. Wow, let's see. Impeachment. No, that's probably the same shit. Oh, Artemis splashdown after going around the moon. Congratulations, motherfuckers. Trump caught lying. He's never been caught lying. He always lies. When he opens his mouth, he fucking lies. Jeffrey drops Trump impeachment bombshell. Oh, that's fine. Let's see what's going on here.
But we have a responsibility to make sure that public policymakers within this administration aren't recklessly sending our troops into harm's way.
Yeah. It's reckless.
So,
I agree with you.
we look forward to a robust debate about whether to be in or out of this war.
Choose out, my
And
cousin.
House Democrats, as you've seen,
Choose the out. O-U-T, out. Say, I want out. This one war one, please.
most of this reckless war of choice.
The Chinese are pissing themselves laughing at this lot. The Chinese can't control themselves. I actually want to make a little AI thing where you got all these Chinese leaders just laughing so much that they pissing in their pants and they just can't even talk at the meeting because everyone's laughing so hard. At this circus, the Stars and Stripes. I mean, what is going on here? I can't drop my internet link there. Let's see. I'm supposed to be building my prototype, and I'm fucking around with tech.
next few years that the American people could afford. Millions of additional homes and houses.
Man, I
and
don't want
apartments.
that.
Now, the bipartisan bill that left the House is different than the bipartisan bill that just passed the Senate, and I believe that the two need to be reconciled. And the conference committee approach is the established vehicle for that to happen. I haven't had any conversations with Mike Johnson about what his intentions are. But clearly, there were provisions that were bipartisan in nature, championed by House Democrats in the bill that left our chamber that didn't make it into the final version of the bill.
I'm just waiting for a bit of an audience, that's all I'm
And so
doing.
I'm going to continue to support the
Because
efforts of Maxine Waters.
I've got to carry on with my project, irrespective of how many people are interested. I've got to still carry on with my project. As I say, I should be building a prototype, not fucking around with tech things. It's just, this war is so
We
interesting.
haven't had a caucus-wide discussion on it. Of course, the top Democrat on the Intel Committee, Jim Himes, has articulated one position. Jamie Raskin and Judiciary Committee Democrats, and I'm a former Judiciary Committee Democrat, have articulated a different position. And
How do
what you can
I
expect is
allow
that every single Democrat will
people to
oppose.
interact? So this is what I'm going to be testing now to see if anyone can interact. I've got to connect
Made under the prior administration, but we're dealing with national security folks at the helm with respect to Donald Trump. In fact, these folks haven't even explained
Milo. Hello,
what the
Milo.
imminent threats were relative to Donald Trump's decision to strike Iran and get us involved in this reckless war of choice that's costing billions of dollars a day in taxpayers.
Billions.
Well, they haven't presented any evidence.
It used to be millions, now it's billions.
Threat. Even their officials who are testifying on the House side today and
Right, I've got to take medicine, otherwise I'm going to
in the Senate
going to
yesterday. So,
fall
a lot of
over.
questions that the Trump national security
You're lucky to have low blood
apparatus is
pressure.
gonna have to answer.
Just
In our
deal
view,
with it. Go lie down when you have low blood pressure. Fuck that. I've got low blood pressure. It's horrible.
extension of step
It's
number
terrible. It's the worst thing. You feel like you're drunk. Where is my medicine? Then you also become more forgetful.
Well, the senator's statement as it relates to judicial warrants is very different than what Speaker Johnson and the Republican position has been in the House, and so that's going to have to be reconciled. Our view is, of course, that judicial warrants must absolutely be required under
Does
law,
anyone agree with homeopathic remedies?
before ICE agents can just break into the homes
If you
of
agree with homeopathic
law-abiding immigrant
remedies,
families and rip them out of their homes,
please
often in
don't
the middle
take
of the
that
night,
too
sometimes in
seriously,
the freezing cold. That's all outrageous.
because unfortunately it doesn't work.
With respect to sensitive locations, our view
And get some coke.
is
Take this
very
terrible
clear.
taste of
Hard line in the sand. No ICE activity.
this horrible
at
pull.
sensitive
Where's
locations,
this horrible
which
pull? Oh yes, it's in my special
but are not
bag.
necessarily limited to schools, houses of worship, hospitals,
That one.
and polling sites. No
And I'm gonna
reason
take that one.
whatsoever for Trump's mass deportation
This is an
violent
antihistamine.
and extreme
Boom, and that's
conduct
finished.
any
Boom,
activity
one.
anywhere near any of
And
those
this
sensitive locations
is to keep me sane.
than a simple statement
Boop.
at a confirmation hearing. We need that ironclad built into.
Blood pressure
We've heard Trump
should stabilize in 5
nominees
minutes.
regularly give testimony at a confirmation hearing and then become cabinet secretaries and do the exact opposite. There are a lot of examples of that, including what Pam Bondi's doing right now, where she said she would not target members of the media. She would not weaponize the Department of Justice. She would not go after political opponents. And she's now done the exact opposite.
A number of your members are introducing legislation to regulate prediction markets, saying that they're basically unregulated gambling markets. I know you have.
Where is my blood pressure measuring machine?
Do you think this issue demands right now?
Well, first question, what did the prediction markets say about Democrats taking back the House in November?
It's actually pretty good. I don't know if that confused you at all.
Well, I'm interested in that and what they have to say about St. John.
It's an elusive little
That
bugger.
said,
You're an
I
elusive
do
little
think
one.
it's reasonable for us to take a
Ain't
look
ya?
at what can be done in this space and try to
Must
find a
keep my
bipartisan
Blood
path
pressure
forward
rising.
for all of the stakeholders in this area.
Where could it be?
Well, the reason why Johnson is not bringing the
I'm
TSA
going
legislation
mad.
to a vote is that Republicans
I'm
have
going
clearly made the
bonkers.
decision
What?
to hold
I
TSA
used
agents
just the other
hostage
day.
to create an
Oh,
inconvenience
let me sit here and think about it and
millions of
get my head
Americans
clear.
all across the country and to jam chaos
And how can I put on
at
weight?
airports down the throats of the American people. That's the
I used to
only
weigh
justification
86
right
kilograms, and now after my
now. The
heart
fact that
operation,
TSA agents aren't being
I'm
that FEMA
about
and the Coast
67.
Guard
I mean,
and our cybersecurity
where the hell
professionals have
do you
effectively
get
been shut down in
67
terms of
on
their
this
ability
airframe?
to conduct their normal day-to-day operation. Republicans have made that affirmative
Oh.
decision. These are extreme people. malignant buffoon, attacking Summer Lee. By the way, Summer Lee
Malignant
was brilliant.
buffoon.
She's hardworking. She's caring.
Well, when
She's
words these
compassionate,
guys
and
come
she was
up with.
right that Pam Bondi should absolutely be compelled to testify under oath. That was a
And some
charade
salt.
that took place yesterday.
Rock salt.
Refused at this point in time to enact the type of bold, meaningful, and dramatic changes to
Coke
ICE
and
that are
water.
necessary to get ICE under control. Our position remains the same. Taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people.
I wonder if you can swallow rock salt whole,
where life has become more
whether
expensive
it'll
for everyday Americans
burn your
because of
stomach.
failed Republican policies.
Sodium
Yet
chloride.
Republicans have decided that they would rather spend billions of dollars to unleash mass and untrained ICE agents to brutalize American communities and violently target law-abiding immigrant families, and at the same time are now spending billions of dollars
My drumstick is coming on fine.
to drop bombs in the Middle East. But these same extremists in Congress and within the administration,
I
starting
made
with
the
the president,
doodaddy for it.
can't find a dime
This is what I'm
to make
gonna
life more affordable
sew
for
onto
American
the drumstick.
people, to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
Let me just
20
meditate
million Americans of every
over a
political
cigarette.
persuasion can afford to go see a doctor when they need one. Priorities of the Trump administration and Republicans are all screwed up. They're focused on unleashing ICE brutality, enacting massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors, and spending billions of dollars to drop bombs in the Middle East. But they don't give a damn about making life better for the American people. Democrats are going to continue to focus our efforts on driving down the high cost of living, fixing our broken healthcare system, making sure that immigration enforcement in this country is fair, just, and humane, and that we actually are focused on lifting up the quality of life of working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans. Not the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected, which is what has been the obsession of the Republican Party. Questions?
You just described the war in Iran as reckless. Other Democrats have called it illegal, unilateral. Do you think what the president is doing in Iran rises to the level of an impeachable offense? And do you think it is worthwhile overall to try to impeach the president?
What we're focused on right now is stopping this reckless war of choice, and we will bring another War Powers resolution to do just that in short order. And I expect strong Democratic support for that War Powers resolution, including amongst some who previously may have voted against it earlier in this war. And all we'll need is a few Republicans to join us so we can stand up for the American people who are overwhelmingly opposed to Donald Trump's reckless war of choice.
What's your message to TSA workers who are going without paychecks, people who are suffering in these long lines preparing to travel, who don't care about the finger pointing, who don't care about the politics, they just want Congress to get to some solution? What do you say to them? Why can't this be figured out?
We should be able to get this done today. All Speaker Johnson needs to do is bring the legislation to the floor that will pay TSA agents and reopen the parts of the Department of Homeland Security that have nothing to do with ICE and have nothing to do with Trump's extreme and violent mass deportation machine. That's all that needs to happen. And yet, House Republicans and Senate Republicans have consistently rejected paying TSA agents. Why? It's because they don't support getting ICE under control. This is their policy. It's Trump's policy. It's Stephen Miller's policy to use taxpayer dollars to brutalize or kill American citizens, as we've seen with the cold-blooded killings of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy. And the American people want that to stop. And if Republicans are unwilling
poor
They
American
shouldn't be
people
holding TSA agents
are going to
hostage.
be
They
in
shouldn't
for
be
a big
holding
shock.
the American people hostage. But Republicans are
In for a
intentionally
big shock,
creating
my
chaos
friends and girlfriends.
in airports all across America. It needs to end. Republicans control the
I
House,
hope
the
no
Senate, and the
violence
presidency.
come to you.
This could end today. But Republicans don't want it to. Thank you.
So the administration says we're going to request $200 billion in war bond. Democrats opposed the war, but if the Democrats were to oppose this request,
Hang on to your USB drives, folks, because you're going to need all the backups in the
It's
world.
our understanding right now that there are no troops on the ground. And in fact, the American people would reject Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth and Republicans putting our troops on the ground in harm's way. In the
I
Middle
would
East. In
reject
fact,
putting
Donald
troops
Trump
on the
promised
ground because they're
as
just going to
Kennedy
get mowed down
is
like
that he was not going to get America
green lawn,
into
baby.
a reckless war of choice in the Middle East. But as
It would be the
President Trump, that's
stupidest
exactly
thing
what
in
he's done.
history
And so
to
it's our
put
responsibility
boots
right
on the
now to
ground
end this reckless
in
war of choice.
Iran.
To
Hold
end the
on to
fact that
your
billions of dollars have
USB
already been
drives,
spent,
folks.
perhaps
Hang
up
on
to
to them.
$2 billion a day
Yeah, that's what
to
it's
drop
costing
bombs
you.
in the Middle East. But these same
You know how many
Republicans
hospitals you could buy
rip Medicaid
for
away
200?
from billions of people, including children and seniors. They've stolen food from the mouths of hungry veterans
Yeah,
by enacting a $186 billion cut to SNAP. And then at the same period of time, gave a $75
they
billion
should
slush fund
sell
to ICE.
Mar-a-Lago
That's their priority.
and all
They
these
gave massive
assets
tax
and that
breaks to their
stupid
billionaire donors.
dumb
That's the
Trump
Republican
tower.
priority. And now they're
They
dropping
should
bombs
repossess all
in
of
the
his
Middle
shit
East in
and
a reckless
sell
war
it
of
and
choice, spending billions of
try and
dollars.
help pay for
Here's what we
all the
should be doing.
cock he's made.
We should repeal
This
the
guy's
Medicaid
made more
cuts.
cock in history
We
than I
should extend
think
the Affordable Care Act tax
the big
We
H.
should refund the money that Donald Trump stole from the American people through his unconstitutional and unlawful
I
tariffs
think
as
so.
declared by the Supreme
I
Court.
think
That's
so.
what we should be doing if we're talking about the expenditure of billions of dollars of money. Make life better for everyday Americans.
what if the GOP asks for a fall sentence?
Correct.
We're not even in a position to have this conversation right now because the GOP, Republicans, are way off base as it relates to their priorities. And as I just mentioned,
Bit
let's
of a
focus
lag.
on bringing down housing costs, bringing down healthcare costs, bringing down grocery bills, bringing down childcare costs, bringing down the price of gasoline, which is through the roof right now, almost $1 above where it had been the day before the war. Why? Because of Trump's reckless economic policies and the fact that House Republicans continue to bury their heads in the sand with their cult-like behavior, acting like nothing more than reckless rubber stamps for Donald Trump's extreme policy. Let's start there before we have a conversation potentially about $200 billion more for this administration that has shown zero interest in spending a dime to actually improve the quality of life of the American people. And so I think it's clear where we are right now, as you've indicated, as it relates to this reckless war of choice and where the priorities should be. For Democrats, we believe priorities should be let's spend taxpayer dollars to actually make life more
Hell of a
affordable for the
lag.
American people because it's become far too expensive as a result of Donald Trump and his failed Republican policies.
Have another cigarette. My Coke needs more water in it.
Well, I'm not going to get out ahead of the sponsors of that War Powers resolution, but it will be different in nature to some degree because we're now approximately 3 weeks into the war, and we've got a lot more information that can be presented to the American people as it relates to the concerns that they, of course, have had from the very beginning about Donald Trump's reckless war of choice, where there's no plan, no strategy, no objective. They clearly didn't anticipate what was going to happen in the Straits of Hormuz. Republicans clearly did not anticipate the fact that more than a dozen countries would be drawn into this conflict in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
Regime change hasn't taken place, which was one of the stated goals. And now the administration apparently is threatening to send ground troops in to Iran, which we know will be a disaster. We always are going to support our brave and heroic men and women in uniform.
Yep.
But we have a responsibility to make sure
You don't send them to the slaughterhouse, baby, because that's what'll happen.
aren't recklessly sending our troops
That's what'll
into
happen.
harm's way. And so we look forward to a robust debate about whether to be in or out of this war. And House Democrats, as you've seen, are strongly opposed to this reckless war of choice.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. You mentioned that Congress and the Trump administration should be focused on making life better for the American people.
Yeah, sure, you must make life better for the American people. That's what the politicians are there for, you idiot.
What they call a comprehensive
They're not there to make war.
red tape and increase the supply
I
power.
mean, if they were there to make war, they would be out of business a long time ago. Buddy.
With the Senate that would prolong the process of lowering the cost of housing. Where do you stand on how Congress should be addressing the high cost of housing? Do you think that Congress should, the House should pass the Senate bill? How do you reconcile where we are with housing, and what's your message to the American people who are saying we believe when it comes to rent, when it comes to mortgage, and there's a bill that's ready to be passed that's just languishing in the House?
Well, there's a lot that needs to be done in the area of housing. We're going to need to build millions of additional units over the next few years that the American people could afford. Millions of additional homes and houses and apartments. Now, the bipartisan bill that left the House is different than the bipartisan bill that just passed the Senate. And I believe that the two need to be reconciled. And the conference committee approach is the established vehicle for that to happen. I haven't had any conversations with Mike Johnson about what his intentions are. But clearly there were provisions that were bipartisan in nature, championed by House Democrats in the bill that left our chamber that didn't make it into the final version of the bill that left the Senate. And so I'm going to continue to support the efforts of Maxine Waters and House Democrats to get some of those provisions back into any final legislative product before it makes it.
I'm going to mess around with tech issues. I know.
House Democrats had a discussion on where they are on that? Is that something that you all would like to support?
We haven't had a caucus-wide discussion on it. Of course, the top Democrat on the Intel Committee, Jim Himes, has articulated one position. Jamie Raskin and Judiciary Committee Democrats, and I'm a former Judiciary Committee Democrat, have articulated a different position. And what you can expect is that every single Democrat will oppose the rule. And then we'll see where we go from there. It's clear that FISA reforms are necessary. Some improvements were made under the prior administration, but we're dealing with a very different dynamic in terms of the national security folks at the helm with respect to Donald Trump. In fact, these folks haven't even explained what the imminent threats were relative to Donald Trump's decision to strike Iran and get us involved in this reckless war of choice that's costing billions of dollars a day in taxpayer money. They haven't presented any evidence that there was an imminent threat. Even their officials who are testifying on the House side today and testified in the Senate yesterday. So there's a lot of questions that the Trump national security apparatus are going to have to answer, in our view, before there's a decision to move forward with a straightforward extension of 702.
Mr. Leader, yesterday in his confirmation hearing, Senator Mark Wayne said that he would leave the Department of Homeland Security. He would defend the law requiring judicial warrants to enter private property. He would not send federal law enforcement to polling sites unless there was an active threat. This marks a very stark departure from Noam's leadership at DHS and answers some key requests from Democrats in negotiations. What is your reaction to his statements, and in conjunction with the latest White House
Well, the senator's statement as it relates to judicial warrants is very different than what Speaker Johnson and the Republican position has been in the House, and so that's going to have to be reconciled. Our view is, of course, that judicial warrants must absolutely be required under law with specificity before ICE agents can just break into the homes of the American people or law-abiding immigrant families and rip them out of their homes, often in the middle of the night, sometimes in the freezing cold. That's all outrageous and unacceptable. With respect to sensitive locations, our view is very clear. Hard line in the sand. No ICE activity at sensitive locations, which include, but are not necessarily limited to, schools, houses of worship, hospitals, and polling sites. No reason whatsoever for Trump's mass deportation machine, which is violent and extreme, to conduct any activity anywhere near any of those sensitive locations. And we'll need more than a simple statement at a confirmation.
Something is happening on my Ninja. Why call something Ninja and it doesn't work? You dare call it Ninja? For what reason you call it Ninja?
That FEMA and the Coast Guard and our cybersecurity professionals have effectively been shut down in terms of their ability to conduct their normal day-to-day operation. Republicans
I
have
have a
made that
little mouse in the house.
decision. These are extreme people. These are extreme people. They're not serious people. These are extreme people. We saw that the other day with James Comer. Once again, behaving like a malignant buffoon, attacking Summer Lee. By the way, Summer Lee, who's brilliant, she's hardworking, she's caring, she's compassionate, and she was right. That Pam Bondi should absolutely be compelled to testify under oath. That was a charade that took place yesterday. Instantly refused at this point in time to enact the type of bold,
I think I caught the
dramatic
mouse.
changes to ICE that are
I
necessary
think I caught
to
the
get
mouse.
ICE
He's
under
in this
control.
packet.
Our position remains the same. Taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the
I
American
think I caught him.
in the midst of an affordability
Red-handed.
crisis where life has
I'll
become
put him
more
in the
expensive
car and I'm going to take
for
him to
everyday Americans
someone else's
because
house.
of failed Republican policies. And yet Republicans have decided that they would rather spend billions of dollars to unleash mass and untrained ICE agents to brutalize American communities and violently target law-abiding immigrant families, and at the same time are now spending billions of dollars on a reckless war of choice to drop bombs in the Middle East. But these same extremists in Congress and within the administration, starting with the president, can't find a dime to make life more affordable for the American people, or to extend the Affordable Care Act tax
He's
credit
making a nest in
so
the
that
big
20
box.
million
He wasn't in this
Americans
At least I found my charger for my digital camera,
Priorities of the
my
Trump
underwater
administration
camera.
Republicans are all screwed up.
Let's plug it in and see if it
Focused
takes a
on
charge.
unleashing ICE brutality,
Beautiful, beautiful camera.
enacting massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors, and spending billions of dollars to drop bombs in the Middle East. But they don't give a damn about making life better for the American people. Democrats are going to continue to focus our efforts on driving down the high cost of living, fixing our broken healthcare system, making sure that immigration enforcement in this country is fair, just, and humane, and that we actually are focused on lifting up the quality of life of working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans. Not the wealthy,
This is how we did it when we died in the old days.
which is what has been the obsession of the Republican Party. Question?
You just described the war
When
on
300 bar diving cylinders were, we didn't have 300 bar diving cylinders. We only had 200 bar steel or aluminum. Aluminum.
What we're focused on right now is stopping this
Um,
reckless war of
Yeah,
choice
my battery seems like it's
bring
something's
another
happening there.
war
The
power
lights are
resolution
flashing.
to do just that.
I think I'll do a little demo
And I expect strong Democratic support
on how I strip my
for that
my camera.
war powers resolution, including amongst some who previously may have voted against it earlier in
My
this war.
camera on the bed over here.
And all we'll need is a few Republicans to join us so we can stand up for the American people who are
Looks like a
overwhelmingly
face.
opposed
Looks like it's got a
Donald
face.
Trump's reckless war of choice.
Look at that.
What's your message to TSA workers who are going without paychecks?
That little mouse is going to drive me insane.
Preparing to travel.
Look at
Who
that.
don't care about the finger pointing, who don't care about the politics, they just want
Here's my underwater camera
say to them.
while I'm busy doing other shit.
To be able to get this done today, all Speaker Johnson needs to do is bring the legislation to the floor that will pay TSA agents and reopen the parts of the Department of Homeland Security that have nothing to do with ICE and have nothing to do with Trump's extreme and violent mass deportation machine. That's all that needs to happen. And yet, House Republicans and Senate Republicans have consistently rejected paying TSA agents. Why? It's because they don't support getting ICE under control. This is their policy. It's Trump's policy. It's Stephen Miller's policy to use taxpayer dollars to brutalize or kill American citizens, as we've seen with the cold-blooded killings of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy. And the American people want that to stop. And if Republicans are unwilling to deal with that issue, they shouldn't be holding TSA agents hostage. They shouldn't be holding the American people hostage. But Republicans are intentionally creating chaos in airports all across America. It needs to end. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. This could end today. But Republicans don't want it.
But at what point,
Thank you.
I'm going to be doing a major cleanup here. This is going to happen. This weekend, this is happening. I am going fully nuclear. Because a mouse,
Our understanding right now that there are no troops on the
I
ground.
can't have a mouse
In
in
fact,
my
the
house.
American people would reject Donald Trump and Pete
Because
Hegseth
they
and
are
Republicans putting our troops on the
Unwelcome
ground
because they
in harm's
chew
way
shit
in
up.
the Middle
And
East.
I've got
In fact, what
documents and
Donald Trump
photographs
promised as candidate Trump
that
is that he was not going to
I
get
can't
America
get them chewed
into
up.
a reckless war of choice in the Middle East.
No wonder I
But as
smoke
President Trump
60 a
does
day.
exactly what he's done. And so it's our responsibility right now to end this reckless war of choice. To end the fact that billions of dollars have already been spent. Perhaps up to $2 billion a day to drop bombs in the Middle East. But these same Republicans here rip Medicaid away from millions of people, including children and seniors. They've stolen food from the mouths of hungry veterans by enacting a $186 billion cut to SNAP, and then at the same period of time, gave a $75 billion slush fund to ICE. That's their priority. They gave massive tax breaks to their billionaire donors. That's the Republican priority. And now they're dropping bombs in the Middle East in a reckless war of choice, spending billions of dollars. Here's what we should be doing. We should repeal the Medicaid cuts. We should extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. We should refund the money that Donald Trump stole from the American people through his unconstitutional and unlawful tariffs as declared by the Supreme Court. That's what we should be doing if we're talking about the expenditure of billions of dollars of money. Make life better for everyday Americans.
What if the GOP asks for offsets?
We're not even in a position to have this conversation right now because the GOP, Republicans, are way off base as it relates to their priorities. And as I just mentioned, let's focus on bringing down housing costs, bringing down healthcare costs, bringing down grocery bills, bringing down childcare costs, bringing down the price of gasoline, which is through the roof right now, almost $1 above where it had been the day before the war. Why? Because of Trump's reckless economic policies and the fact that House Republicans
Found my
continue to
blood
bury their
pressure
heads in the
machine.
sand with their cult-like behavior, acting like nothing more than reckless
in
rubber
the Gulf
stamps
War.
for Donald Trump's extreme policy. Let's start there before we have a conversation potentially
Yeah,
about
let's start right
$200
there.
billion more for this administration that has shown zero interest in spending a dime to actually improve the quality of life of the American people. And so I think it's clear where we
I
are
found an ancient
right
sword.
now, as you've indicated, as it relates to this reckless war of choice and where the priorities should be. For Democrats, we believe the priorities should be let's spend taxpayer dollars to actually make life more affordable for the American people because it's become far too expensive
Stationary.
as a result of Donald Trump and his failed Republican policies.
Thank you. I just want to go back to the War Powers resolution that you said Democrats will bring it to the order. Will that be identical to the last War Powers resolution? And could you just give us any details about that process there?
Well, I'm not going to get out ahead of the sponsors of that War Powers resolution, but it will be different in nature to some degree because we're now approximately 3 weeks into the war, and we've got a lot more information that can be presented to the American people as it relates to the concerns that they, of course, have had from the very beginning about Donald Trump's reckless war of choice, where there's no plan, no strategy, no objective. They clearly didn't anticipate what was going to happen in the Straits of Hormuz. Republicans clearly did not anticipate the fact that more than a dozen countries would be drawn into this conflict in the Middle East. Regime change hasn't taken place, which was one of the stated goals. And now the administration apparently is threatening to send ground troops in to Iran.
They're just going to get mowed down like lawn.
We always are going to support our brave and heroic men and women in uniform. But we have a responsibility to make sure that public policymakers within this administration aren't recklessly sending our troops into harm's way.
Harm's way, buddy.
And so we look forward to a robust debate about whether to be in or out of this war. And House Democrats, as you've seen, are strongly opposed to this reckless war of choice.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. You mentioned that Congress and the Trump administration should be focused on making life better for the American people. You mentioned the high cost of housing as a priority that lawmakers should be focused on. Last week, the Senate passed what they call a comprehensive bill that would remove red tape and increase the supply of housing, thus lower costs in their argument. There's some House Republicans who are opposed to that bill who are saying that they would like to go to conference with the Senate that would prolong the process of lowering the cost of housing. Where do you stand on how Congress should be addressing the high cost of housing? Do you think that Congress should, the House should pass the Senate bill? How do you reconcile where we are?
Well, the lag is getting better. Still doesn't help me though. All I want to do is see the
There's a
other
lot that needs to be done in the area of housing. We're going to need to build millions of additional units
StreamYard and Video Ninja, and God alone knows what I'll put on here.
millions of additional homes and houses and apartments. Now, the bipartisan bill that left the House is
I
different
think maybe I
than the
need a
bipartisan
kitchen
bill that just
sink.
passed the Senate, and I believe that the two
A
need to be
kitchen sink that
reconciled.
I can put on there.
And the conference committee approach is the established vehicle for that to happen. I
Right.
haven't had any conversations with
Carry
Mike
on
Johnson
with
about
the-
what his intentions are.
Attempted
But
cleanup.
clearly, there were provisions that were bipartisan in nature, championed by House Democrats in the bill that left our chamber, that didn't make it into the final version of the bill that left the Senate. And so I'm going to continue to support the efforts of Maxine Waters and House Democrats to get some of those provisions back into any final legislative product before it makes it to the president's desk.
The next deadline for reauthorization is next month, closes by Speaker Johnson has said that the time has House Democrats
Show how easy it is to take blood pressure
We
with
haven't
a,
had a
with a
caucus-wide
standard
discussion on
issue
it.
blood
Of
pressure
course,
machine.
Top Democrat on the Intel Committee, Jim Himes, has articulated one position. Jamie Raskin and Judiciary
Astolic,
Committee
diastolic, you know the
Democrats,
things.
and I'm a former Judiciary Committee Democrat, have articulated.
What a wonderful
a different
machine
position.
this is.
And
The
what you
batteries
can
have
expect is that every single
lasted
Democrat
since
will oppose the rule.
my operation nearly a
And then we'll
year
see
ago.
where we go from there. It's clear that FISA reforms are
And the
necessary. Some
batteries are going
improvements
strong.
were
I
made
think
under the
they
prior
are
administration,
Duracell, if I
but
can
we're dealing
remember
with a very
correctly.
different dynamic in terms
What
of
you
the
do
national
is you put
security
this around your arm, obviously.
at the helm.
The tube must be
Respect to
facing
Donald Trump.
down.
These folks haven't even explained what the imminent
Put
threats
it on
were
the old arm. Look how skinny
relative
my
to
arm is.
Donald Trump's decision to strike
then
Iran and get us involved in this reckless war of
just
choice
push
that's
start
costing billions
and
of
relax.
dollars a day in taxpayer money. They
While
haven't
I'm
presented any
smoking,
evidence
taking my
that
blood
there was
pressure.
an imminent
Hey?
threat.
It's clever, isn't it?
Even their officials who are testifying on the House side today and testified in the Senate yesterday. So there's a lot of questions that the Trump national security apparatus are going to have to answer, in our view, before there's a decision to move forward with a straightforward extension of 702.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Yesterday, in his confirmation hearing, Senator Mark Wayne Mullen said if you were to leave the Department of Homeland Security, he would defend the law requiring judicial warrants to enter private property, and he would not send federal law enforcement to polling sites unless there was an active threat. This marks a very stark departure from Noam's leadership at DHS and answers some key requests from Democrats in their negotiations.
123.94.
Statements and in conjunction with the latest White House offer
Diastolic.
to bring any movement to negotiations.
The diastolic is a bit high.
Well, the
The
senator's
systolic
statement as
is,
it relates to judicial warrants is very different than what
I'd
Speaker
call that
Johnson and
perfect.
the Republican
Should be 120.
position has been in the House, and so that's
But
going
the
to have to be reconciled.
diastolic
with you.
is a little bit
Is,
high.
of course, that judicial warrants must absolutely be required
I
under law.
would have
with
explained
specificity
diastolic and astolic if
before ICE
systolic if
just break into
I
the
had a
homes
bit
of the
more of an
American
audience.
people,
But
or law-abiding immigrant
seeing as though
families,
everyone's
and
watching
rip
the
them out of
war,
their homes, often in the middle of the night, sometimes in the freezing cold. That's
we'll
all
save that
outrageous
until I take my next blood
and
pressure
unacceptable.
reading
With
in
respect
a
to
couple of minutes.
sensitive locations, in our view, is
What a
very
beautiful
clear.
machine. The
Hard line
medic
in the sand.
blood
No ice
pressure
activity
machine
at sensitive locations,
from
which
this chem.
include,
They're not
but are not necessarily limited to, schools, houses
they're
of
not
worship,
paying me
hospitals,
to advertise
and
their
polling
machine,
sites.
but it works
no
like a bomb.
reason whatsoever
Very few
for
things
Trump's
in life
mass
work like a
deportation
bomb.
machine, which is violent and extreme,
According to my knowledge,
to
there
conduct any
are
activity anywhere near
about
any of
5
those
things
sensitive
that work
locations, and will
as
need
good as a
more
bomb.
than a simple
And
statement
excuse the
at
pun.
a confirmation hearing.
And I'll disclose
Need
that when I eventually
ironclad
get some more
built into
traffic
law.
on my channel,
We've heard Trump
so that I can start doing shit and
nominees
showing people stuff.
regularly give testimony at a confirmation hearing and then become cabinet secretaries and do the exact opposite.
I don't want to act like a monkey to
There are
get
a lot of
views.
examples of that,
I
including
just
what
need
Pam Bondi's doing right now.
maximum 100
When she
people.
said she would not target
Maximum.
members of the media.
That's my goal.
She would not
100
weaponize
people
the Department of Justice.
at any given
She
time
would not
watching.
go after perceived political opponents. And she's now done
The
the exact
Tupperware
opposite.
that's gone yellow, it's so old. This is as old as I am. Still got my mother's handwriting on it. Salt. Yeah. How I do miss my dear mother.
Well, first question, what did the prediction markets say about Democrats taking back the House in November?
It's actually pretty good. I don't know if that cues you
I found my brattle
Well, I'm interested in that and what they
that I
have to say
made.
about St. John's making it to the Final Four. That said, I do think it's reasonable for us to take a look at what can be done in this space and try to find a bipartisan path forward, working with all of the stakeholders
I think I'll sharpen my
in
knife
this area.
while I'm relaxing to regain blood pressure.
Well, the reason why Johnson is not bringing the TSA
Clever, I
legislation
didn't put
to
batteries
a vote
in here.
is that Republicans have clearly made the decision to hold TSA
How would I
agents
auction
hostage
this off?
to create an inconvenience
This is
for
a beautiful
millions
camera.
of Americans all across the country, and to jam chaos at airports down the
Marlin
road to the
Marine.
American people. That's the only justification right now
Wonder if I can
for the
take a
fact that
photograph
TSA
of it.
agents aren't being paid. That
And then
FEMA and
post
the
it.
Coast Guard and our cybersecurity professionals
Take it
have
with this old
effectively
phone.
been shut down in terms of their ability to conduct their normal day-to-day operation. Republicans have made that affirmative decision. These are extreme people. These are extreme people. They're not serious people. These are extreme people.
No
We saw
kidding,
that the other
Einstein.
day with James Comer
Don't know
Once
James
again,
Comer. Don't know who that is.
behaving like a malignant buffoon, attacking
Malignant
Summer Lee.
buffoon.
By the way, Summer Lee, who's brilliant, she's hardworking, she's caring, she's compassionate, and she was right. That Pam Bondi should absolutely be compelled to testify under oath. That was a charade that took place yesterday. Instantly refused at this point in time to enact the type of bold, meaningful, and dramatic changes to ICE that are necessary to get ICE under control.
Why are those dogs barking?
Our position remains the same. Taxpayer dollars should be used
This
to
is a
make life
beautiful
more affordable
camera.
for the American people. In the
I
midst
just
of an
love it.
affordability crisis, where life has become more expensive for everyday Americans because of failed Republican policies. And yet Republicans have decided that they would rather spend
Go check
billions
what
of
those
dollars
dogs are
to
barking at.
unleash masked and untrained ICE agents to brutalize American communities and violently target law-abiding immigrant families, and at the same time are now spending billions of dollars on a reckless war of choice to drop bombs in the Middle East. But these same extremists in Congress and within the administration, starting with the president, can't find a dime to make life more affordable for the American people, or to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits so that 20 million Americans of every political persuasion can afford to go see a doctor when they need one. Priorities of the Trump administration and Republicans are all screwed up. They're focused on unleashing ICE brutality, enacting massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors, and spending billions of dollars to drop bombs in the Middle East.
Oh yeah.
But they don't give a damn.
Let me switch views and see if I can get
Focus our efforts.
some more views in a beautiful setting. In a beautiful setting, which is in the garden. And what I will do is I will change the camera around, and then I will give it from that side. Let's see. At least I know I've got 100% Wi-Fi. Oh yes, baby. Now all we need is water. Best water in the world. Tortoise has grazed my favorite section of lawn almost to a pulp. Right over there at the top of the garden. See, I wonder if I could climb a tree and go live. If I could go up the tree. Up this tree. If I could, I think, go up this tree. Up this tree here. Right to the top of the tree. If I can get up there again. wonder if this switch will work on my grinder. It's a very nice switch, this. It's a beautiful switch. Look at the tobacco seeds. You can almost plant a lawn with the tobacco seeds. Each little one, individual tobacco plant. There's at least 200. At least 200. They're even growing at the bottom of the water hole. I'm going to give them some borehole water. They like acid. They love acid. How's this lens? It's been used as a bike stand on the lawn. So it's not the most polished lens. I wouldn't go start photolithography with this lens. I've got a cleaner one somewhere. Yes, and this pride and joy. $10,000 one sword. people would rather watch me clean house, because this is the mess that I've got myself into. This is the actual mess that I've gotten myself into, guys and girls. Guys and dolls. The doorway to doom. The amount of things that I lose on the floor. Then I must pick them up. Like this valve that I lost, it was on the floor. Change it around, give it a different perspective. It's the workshop. Da da na 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 na. Da da na 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 na. La da da na 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 na. This is a piece of cannabis wood. Look how long it is. I've just got to straighten it. I must straighten this wood. Dear Jethro, how am I going to do that? Da 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 da. Da, 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 na, 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 na. I wonder if I get censored for humming a song. Will I get censored for humming a song, Daddy? Hopefully not, my boy. Hopefully not. This is my first attempt at a tree. This is my first attempt at a tree with normal house paint. You can't really see. My first attempt at a tree, dog. This is my tree, dog. Da, 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 ba, dee, da, dum, da, da. Not a bad tree, this is quite a good tree. This is a lucky tree. This tree's got cobwebs on it. Where's a brush? I need a brush. To brush off my painting. Where is Hormuz? Hormuz is around about here, I think. Hormuz. Almost sounds like a swear word, doesn't it? Isn't it? another contraption. I wonder if you could guess what that contraption's for. Dear Jethro. I discovered another burner. A burner I did discover.
That's why we created WISE, the CBT-based system designed to help high IQ men retrain their brain, rebuild focus, and finally stop self-sabotage. You start with a quick quiz, then do 15-minute daily exercises that rewire how your mind reacts to stress, pressure, and fear of success. Within days, you stop being the smart guy who does nothing. Finally become the man you're supposed to be. Take the quiz and start today.
I've got to paint the spice basket, so you might as well come along. Even though no one's watching on a Saturday, who would be watching me do my shit on a Saturday? Hello, kitty cat. Hello, kitty cat. Come here. Come here. Come here, pussy cat. Come here. I want to talk to you. Come here. Come here. Come here. I want to talk to you. Come here. Come here. I want to talk to you and say hello. Come here. Yes. Did you have enough to eat? Did you have enough to eat? Come here, man. Yes. You're the only cat that I like in the world. Every other cat sucks because they chase lizards and birds. But you've got a pass. You've got a free pass, my girl. Free pass. Okay. I'm going to paint. I'm going to varnish. I'm going to varnish the spice tray thingy because it's worth varnishing. Saturation, I think, is the key. Saturation, baby. If there's no maintenance, then things fall to pieces. Like with anything. You don't maintain it, it's gonna break, cuzzy, it's gonna break. It's going to let you down. My blood pressure has stabilized nicely, so I can do normal things. When my blood pressure's low, it feels like the whole world is out to get me. It's just a terrible feeling, that's what it is. Terrible feeling. And looking at my basket. There's my basket. You gotta remember to. Oh, kitty cat. Come here. Come talk to me. Come here. Come here. drag stuff will fit in there. You can't leave copper lying on the floor. Doesn't matter how small it is. It will get taken, baby. It will get taken. Okay, now what do I do? Paint the inside of the grinder, because the grinder over there, once I took the lid off, the switch, everything was all corroded. After 100 million years, I'm sure you can expect that. You can expect it. Let's give you some red oxide. How's that? Let's just paint you with some red oxide straight in there. It'll sure help. It ain't gonna cure the rust, but it sure can help. And these screws are in there for good. These screws are in there for kind of good. For good or bad. Fuck it. I'm just gonna paint it, Jack. I'm just gonna paint it. Just gonna paint it. I'm not gonna get a paintbrush that I. Still can't find a paintbrush. You guys are saying, gee, this guy's got to get organized. Please, Jesus, let this guy get organized. I'm going to use the new paintbrush. I'm going to find the paintbrush. Now this paintbrush, this is one of the products that I was discussing earlier on. This paintbrush, it's old, it's beaten up. And the product that I'm going to use to clean this brush is not going to be thinners. It's going to be a special product you'll see when I'm finished. Excuse my back, Jack. There's a pair of Alexandrines birds that are flying around the neighborhood that has made themselves home here. And I don't know if they know what winter feels like, but they're going to get a bit of a surprise when winter comes. So they obviously got out, escaped from some aviary or some bird cage somewhere. Alexandrines, beautiful birds. Beautiful plumage. Beautiful plumage, mate. Yeah, mate. Right, so I've painted this thing. All I've got to do now is fix the switch. And Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Let's get right in there. Yeah, mate. Get it right in there. Cover that rust. It's not as if I'm going to live to 120 to see this thing rust apart. Give the base a bit of a red, just for old time's sake. The skirt, paint the skirt. Capacitor's still good. better. I won't paint the values closed. I'm not that sadistic or... Oops. This is a 5 microfarad 350 volt run capacitor. It's not a start capacitor, it's a run capacitor. Now, what can I do with this paint on? What can I paint with the paint that's left on the paintbrush? I'll paint a piece of this pipe. See how far I get. See what happens if it sticks to PVC. Yeah, it looks a bit shitty. Nevertheless, now I can demonstrate how wonderful the product is to clean brushes. I'll just take the excess paint off of this glove, because to waste these expensive cleaning products is, I suppose, crucial, even though this paintbrush is pretty fucked. Okay, this is an oil-based red oxide that I put onto here. It's thinners based. It's a thinners based red oxide, and you're going to see how well this product works. They don't sponsor me. Okay, this is red oxide enamel primer. Now watch this. Watch this, baby. Watch this. This is good shit. This. Okay, so here's an old jar, just a normal old jar, and this is the product. This is, once you've finished, you put a cap full of this into a bottle. I'll show you now, and then you get it's sodden into the brush, and then you just rinse it off with water. Doesn't matter whether it's oil paint or thinner based paint. You obviously won't use it for PVA because PVA is water based, but this is for all non-water based cleaning purposes. It cleans oil based and thinner based brushes with water. Watch. Can you see that bottle there? Yes, okay. All right, here's one cap full. One cap full in the bottle. It evaporates very quickly, so you've got to close it off very quickly. Now, you may not sponsor me. Now what you do is you get the brush good and proper in here. You can see how it's dissolving it's dissolving the paint on the brush. I'll just give it a bit more of a swirl. I'll shake off the excess, and I'll go get the water and show you what it does with the water. Hello, kitty cat. Hello, kitty cat. So this is plain water now. This is the brush that I just dipped into the liquid after painting with an oil based, and look, it just comes out in the water. The water is red. Well, that's how much of the paint is left on there, and your brush is perfectly clean and ready. Can you see the water is a reddish tinge? You can give it a good old squirt and it's good to go. You don't waste anything, because now I'm going to put a lid on this and keep that one cap full for the next brush, because all I want to do is clean with it, that's all. I just need a lid for my jar. I don't want the stuff to evaporate, because I'm zuinig, as the Hollanders say. I'm stingy. Hello, kitty cat. Come here. Come here. I've decided to keep it in a different bottle. I couldn't find a lid for this bottle. You can see it goes a milky color. It takes any paint off of any paintbrush. Come here. Come here. Come. Come here. Come. Come here, man. I want to talk to you. Come. Yeah. What you doing? You're chasing lizards around. Hmm? No? Are you chasing lizards? All I've got to find is a lid for this bottle. I'll have a lid for it, I know I will. You can clean another brush with that from one capful. Okay, look, it was a small brush, but this isn't acid. This mark. I must mark this. This is it. Polysol brush cleaner. One of the best products that I can ever imagine to recommend. me see what these people. But like, what is this? What is this? This is just normal life. Life from the point of view of an inventor who's gonna show the world exactly what good original products are. Show the whole world, baby. Maybe I must get some of my friends to log on and start talking shit. Maybe it'll get me some traffic going here. I don't know, how do you get traffic going? How would you get traffic going? Using my cutout for, this is my safe for 38 special. Yeah, there it looks a bit better. The 38 special safe. This is one of my other patents that I'm going to do. And I'll show you. I've got one for this and for the Walther PP. Solid rhodesian teak. No, it's Saligna. Sorry. Saligna. Saligna. Okay, what now? Let me go back to that bedroom and see. My workshop bedroom. And see how I can thin things out a little bit, because it's looking a bit hectic in here. It's looking just a little bit hectic, just a slight bit hectic. I mean, I've got a washing basket on the top of my loo. Let's see if I do this.
My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a try or not. I am not an Epstein surgeon. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance.
Yeah, you're right.
Party in 1998.
Yeah.
The 2002 email that Melania Trump sent to Ghislaine Maxwell shows no indication of being a reply, she claims it was. But Ghislaine Maxwell replied to Melania Trump's email does show that that is a reply. Here is Melania Trump's email in full to the convicted sex trafficker, Ghislaine Maxwell, who she says she had no relationship with and was not friends with. Dear G! Exclamation point. How are you? Nice story about J.E. and New York Mag, Jeffrey Epstein, that is, New York Magazine. You look great on the picture. I know you are very busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you are back in New York. Have a great time! Exclamation point. Love, Melania. In that 2002 story about Jeffrey Epstein and New York Magazine, Donald Trump said, I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy, he's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. Melania Trump's suggestion today that Epstein survivors testify to Congress got this reply from 15 Epstein survivors. Survivors of Jeffrey Epstein have already shown extraordinary courage by coming forward, filing reports, and giving testimony. Asking more of them now is a deflection of responsibility, not justice. First Lady Melania Trump is now shifting the burden onto survivors under politicized conditions that protect those with power. The Department of Justice, law enforcement, prosecutors, and the Trump administration, which has still not fully complied with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It also diverts attention from Pam Bondi, who must answer for withheld files and the exposure of survivors' identities. Those failures continue to put lives at risk while shielding enablers. Survivors have done their part. Now it's time for those in power to do theirs. And back with us is Congressman Ro Khanna. Congressman Khanna, you got the Epstein Files Transparency Act passed. You got the files released as much as have been released. What was your reaction to what Melania Trump said today?
He says he's fine, but he hasn't felt truly focused in years. He calls it burnout, but it's really avoidance. He wants success, but every time things start going right, he finds a way to mess it up. He overthinks, overplans, and underacts. He's tired but can't rest. Resting feels like losing. And deep down, he's scared. Not of failure, but of what happens if he actually wins. That's why we created Wisey, a CBT-based system designed to help high IQ men retrain their brain, rebuild focus, and finally stop self-sabotaging. You start with a quick quiz, then do 15-minute daily exercises that rewire how your mind reacts to stress, pressure, and fear of success. Within days, you'll stop being the smart guy who does nothing. Finally become the man you are supposed to be. Take the quiz and start today. So what made you build an app?
I'm Bigfoot. Got tired of being a myth, so I built an app for men who scream into rivers after cold plunges.
Why'd you build an app?
Because burnout affects everyone. Now I run a wait list for people trying to manifest their expiration date.
You were a creator, right?
Yeah, until I built an app that tracks dopamine crashes. Famous saved my soul.
What's your app for? It syncs breathwork with planetary debt cycles. Launched at 11/11, already banned in 4 astral planes.
Wait, your app's real?
Built it in 40 seconds. Tracks drones disguised as birds. Famous knew before I did.
There were 4 words that the First Lady uttered that were incredibly important. She said, quote, Epstein was not alone. And survivors have been texting me about that because remember, Donald Trump called these survivors a hoax. He has insulted the survivors. And the First Lady is basically acknowledging that there were more men other than Epstein who raped or abused these women.
Yes, they
And
were.
that means that the entire investigation is legitimate.
Yes,
She
it
needs
is.
to call on her husband to get the remainder of the files released. She needs to call on Blanche to have investigations.
They do.
And the survivors are absolutely right that the burden should not be on them. After you introduced me to Bradley Edwards, they did their
It
part by having
isn't.
2 press conferences at the steps of the Capitol. They don't need to do more.
So we're running all these photographs here of Melania Trump not being friends with Jeffrey Epstein. That's a picture of her not being friends with Ghislaine Maxwell. We have pictures of her not being friends with both of them. Very important to consider when you consider what
I'm
she
sure I
has to
can
say
fix
today.
this cookie
So the committee, the Republicans on the committee, subpoenaed and forced
with my super
former
liquid
First Lady
polysol brush clean.
Thursday, Hillary Clinton to testify to that committee about Jeffrey Epstein. She had a very simple line of testimony about Jeffrey Epstein, which was, I have never met Jeffrey Epstein. If the standard for testimony included Hillary Clinton, should Melania Trump be subpoenaed to testify to that committee to say what she apparently was trying to say today under oath with questions?
Absolutely. And here's why it is so relevant. Because she's saying that Epstein did not act alone. We need to ask her, who were the other men that she believes may have been involved in raping or abusing these young girls? What did she know? Did she know about any young girls being abused? Did she know of other men talking about the rape and abuse of these young girls? She has relevant information. If she didn't have relevant information, how could she say that Epstein was not acting alone? So it is relevant to the investigation.
investigation. Hillary Clinton was a total witch hunt, in my view. I mean, I thought President Clinton should have been asked questions, but Hillary Clinton had nothing to do with it. But Melania Trump actually does, and she should come and testify in front of our committee. Congressman O'Connor, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you, appreciate it. Andrew Weissman joins us next. The New York Times reports the Justice Department has assigned its Civil Rights Division to investigate Cassidy Hutchinson, a former White House aide who outraged Donald Trump 4 years ago after her testimony before Congress implicated him in the violence that erupted at the Capitol on January 6, 2021, according to 4 people familiar with the matter. The inquiry into her was opened in recent weeks as the former Attorney General, Pam Bondi, was trying to shore up her shaky standing with the president, according to 2 other people briefed on the effort. On Tuesday, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who was Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney and appears to continue as Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney, said this.
We have thousands of ongoing investigations and prosecutions going on in this country right now. And it is true that some of them involve men, women, and entities that the president in the past has had issues with and that believe should be investigated. That is his right, and indeed it is his duty to do that, meaning to lead this country.
And Todd Blanche gave the most depraved answer imaginable when he was asked if Donald Trump offered him the Attorney Generalship, would he stay on? If he was not offered the Attorney Generalship, what would he do? Here's what he said.
If he chooses to nominate somebody else and asks me to go do something else, I will say thank you very much. I love you, sir.
Joining us now is Andrew Weissman, former FBI General Counsel and former federal prosecutor. He is an MS Now legal analyst. And Andrew, I just want to begin with the utter shamelessness, weirdness, twisted beyond description, I love you, sir, that we just heard. And your reaction to it, and if you have no reaction to that, we could move on to legal matters.
Well, I think you have to look at that statement in the context of somebody who has spent his time as the Deputy Attorney General doing the White House's bidding, and that you don't see what has been true in Republican and Democratic administrations since Watergate, which is the independence of the Department of Justice from the Oval Office. And so that to me is, I read it in that context. If it was said by anyone else in a different context, it might be a little bizarre, but it wouldn't have sort of enough importance for us to be talking about it. But here, I really think that in the position that we're in now, where you have no official confirmed Attorney General, I think you're going to see a race to the bottom by the people who are vying for that position, where they're going to be trying to outdo each other in terms of the kind of actions they could take to please Donald Trump, which is exactly the position that you do not want the Department of Justice to be in.
So we have to brace ourselves for a public chorus of I love you, sirs, from the applicants. Andrew, this investigation of Cassidy Hutchinson, how could it possibly be in the civil rights?
Want to ace your classes? Our step-by-step lessons make it easy. Get over 500 hours of video
Amazing.
lessons in mathematics, chemistry, and other science
Fix
classes
this
to
cracky
practice
pen
skills
down.
and raise grades.
It's a lovely pink
Open the
colour.
associated worksheet to practice while
Pink,
watching
pink,
the
pink.
video.
I must maybe
Simply
make
add
it
any
red.
lesson to your favorites and share it with friends.
Maybe make it red.
Browse our advanced courses and excel in difficult subjects. And enjoy fun
think I've
scientific
discovered
experiments
something.
to learn essential concepts.
This
Read
product
the easy
will
way.
restore
Download
a
Math
Cokie
and
pen
Science Tutor now.
from previously fucked to perfectly good. This is so inspiring that every now and again something works. Let's give it more red.
Well,
I've got red paint, I'll put red in it.
say, Lawrence, is it's so quaint of you to be thinking about normal rules, and
Quaint.
of course it shouldn't be there. And in the same way that we were talking about, wait a second, why is there even an investigation of somebody like Cassidy Hutchinson? My first reaction was, it's like saying there's an investigation into Jerome Powell, or they tried to indict 6 sitting members of Congress for doing something outrageous, which was speaking to the public truthfully about the military, something that with our actions in Venezuela and Iran suggests that they not only had every right to do, but it was incumbent on them to do it at this time. So it all, to me, as a piece, and just compare what we're hearing about Cassidy Hutchinson with what the administration is doing with respect to Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon was convicted at trial. His appeal of that conviction was denied, and the Department of Justice is moving to dismiss that case, even though the conviction is in hand for doing something which is obstructing Congress. And yet they want to open an investigation and against somebody who's a perceived enemy, with the message being, don't ever come forward and speak about the president in terms of anything that could hurt him.
So,
because you get yourself dead, or worse than
what they're
dead.
thinking about in terms of what they could possibly
There's my
come up with
syringe
here and try to
with
stick into an indictment?
my magic
Well,
liquid.
she's been attacked already on the whole incident that she said she'd overheard people talk about what the President of the United States had done on January 6th, wanting to go to the Capitol and turning the so-called the car known as the Beast, and trying to get it to go, instead of to the White House, to go to the Capitol to join the protesters. And there's been a lot of discussion about was that true or not? But what people are forgetting is she's not saying I was in the car and I heard it myself, and other people who were in the car saying that's not what happened. That, by the way, people can misremember things, but that's not even what happened here. She's saying that she wasn't even there, but later somebody who was in the car told her that was what's happening. So how you're going to make some criminal case out of what at best could be a discrepancy seems, to me, it seems just as fanciful as what we've seen with the Letitia James, James Comey, Jerome Powell, 6 members of Congress. I mean, this is a lawless Oval Office and a lawless Department of Justice, where it's like it doesn't take any factual predication to have the story be, we are now putting you under criminal investigation.
Is the Civil Rights Division an indication that other prosecutors who actually would have jurisdiction over something like this, if there was something to investigate, have refused to do it?
That is possible. I mean, we certainly are hearing that there are people like that. For instance,
This is the spider.
Minneapolis, the U.S. Attorney's Office there, reportedly there have been slews of people who were former federal prosecutors who were in the office who said, we are not investigating Renee Good and Renee Good's widow, in this case, when what we should be investigating are the people who shot Renee Good. And so you do see people doing that. I have this feeling that it's much more about Jeanine Pirro not having successfully tackled the Jerome Powell case or the 6 members of Congress, and the head of the so-called Civil Rights Division is somebody who seems to be perfectly happy to do Donald Trump's bidding, and is one of the names that is in line for, is being considered for the Attorney General, so has every interest, if you have a lawless Department of Justice, to show that, I can deliver for you the Oval Office rather than for the American people.
Finding another way to say, I love you, sir. Andrew Weissman, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
And coming up, The Atlantic says we are in the worst energy crisis the world has ever seen. The worst. That's next. We are living through the worst energy crisis the world has ever seen. Those are the words of our next guest's latest piece in The Atlantic. And today the British Prime Minister said this.
I'm fed up with the fact that families across the country see their bills go up and down on energy. Businesses' bills go up and down on energy because of the actions of Putin or Trump across the world.
Your business deserves better than a bland-looking form. With Typeform, you can create beautiful forms and surveys like this, and this. And when forms are this eye-catching, sign-ups feel smoother, feedback gets better, payments come faster, and your results start looking like this. Make striking forms designed to get you more data with Typeform.
And the CEO of Abu Dhabi National Oil Company said today, this moment requires clarity, so let's be clear, the Strait of Hormuz is not open. Access is being restricted, conditioned, and controlled. And tonight, former Secretary of State John Kerry said this in an interview with Jen Psaki.
We've complicated the global economy. People, the average folks in our country are paying so much more now for goods, and that inflation will continue even if the war ended tomorrow.
Joining us now is Amos Hochstein, who served as White House Senior Advisor for Energy and the Middle East in the Biden administration. Thank you very much for joining us again tonight. So, the worst energy crisis the world has ever seen. It doesn't feel that way yet in the United States. We're seeing gas prices go up at the pump, but when we say energy crisis, some people go back to those 1970 photographs of cars lined around blocks for, half a mile waiting to get gas at a gas station in America.
Well, it's great to be back, and it is the worst crisis because in the 1970s when we saw those lines, it was just oil coming through the Strait of Hormuz. But today, we have 5 countries in Asia that have gone to a 4-day work week to conserve energy. They have restricted flights throughout their countries to conserve jet fuel. Airports in Europe are starting to talk about a shortage. This is not a risk of a shortage, it's an actual shortage. And so all those things that we import from other countries are going to come to us. We are blessed with an abundance of oil and gas, but here too, diesel and gasoline prices have gone up. Try to buy a plane ticket today for the months of late April, May, June. You'll see the prices are significantly higher. And there's always a lag. So we announced a ceasefire over 48 hours ago, but the Strait of Hormuz is still
Closed.
No ships have gone through.
No ship.
Maybe 3 or 4.
Einstein.
And I think even they were ones that had some port calls in Iran. So really, only Iran. And remember, Donald Trump's administration removed the sanctions from Iran during this war. So Iran is now selling oil at extremely high prices, making a fortune. Putin is doing the same because he also got sanction relief. And the rest of the world
Sucking.
is getting no oil through the Middle East, no diesel, no fuel,
I have
no
yellow
helium
watercolor.
gas, no LNG. And so I'm not really sure why we went to war, but I do know that as a result of the war, we now have a crisis, which is the Strait of Hormuz that was open and free access. We'll probably never go back to that.
I knew nothing about where helium comes from and how helium is actually used in this world until they closed the strait. And the second thing I learned was fertilizer. The third thing I learned was helium.
And you know,
And so you learn, my
use these
boy.
products,
So you learn.
helium gas
Fuck,
is
this
used
will
for
be.
so many different things. For example,
Yeah,
for when
this
we
would-
make semiconductor chips, but it's also used for MRI machines and so on, and hospital goods. Look, these are things that are going to affect us. They just don't happen right away. And the question becomes, where we really have to focus on. Before this war, the idea that Iran would shut the straits was always known to us who did war games on Iran, and we planned for it. But it was a theory, a theoretical threat. Now, as Dr. Sultan Al-Jabr, that you quoted at the top, said, the strait is closed and they're charging a toll. So now Iran's regime is still in place. They are more powerful, more
I wonder
emboldened.
if this will
They
fix
still
this
have the
kind
ability
of
to fire
problem.
missiles. And now they're wielding a power over their Gulf state neighbors and
I get
over the rest of
distracted,
the world.
you
And
see.
we have to do something about that. That is not something that we can just live with, because energy is so critical to everything we do.
Alois Hochstein, thank you very much for joining us again tonight. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Stop saying, I'm fine, thank you, I don't know, you are welcome. It's very basic. I used to speak like that too. Then I started practicing with fluently. Let me show you.
Do you speak English?
More or less.
Where are you from?
I am Mexico.
Almost. Better say, I am from Mexico.
I always get confused about that.
That's what I'm here for, to help you speak correctly.
But I don't have any money.
What?
Mm.
You don't need money. With
No
Fluently,
money.
you can practice English for free.
No money.
It's not like other expensive apps
You
or
know
courses.
money.
Really?
Sure, no tricks. Just real English conversation practice with an AI tutor.
Like a real tutor?
Yes, it corrects your grammar and pronunciation and helps you speak with confidence.
Okay, then I will download Fluently right now.
Great decision. Let's speak English together.
My little bottles.
Whoever said it's just business clearly never ran one. Because when it's your business, everything is personal. At Bright, we understand that. Which is why we partner with businesses at every stage, from the biggest corporations to the smallest sole proprietors. And for entrepreneurs like you, we created FlexiFlight, the only insurance product that protects both your business and your personal world in one single policy. FlexiFlight from Bright, the business insurance specialists.
This is one of the most powerful jet engines in the world. And it actually runs at temperatures 250 degrees Celsius hotter than the melting point of the materials that make it up.
That's 1,200 degrees.
So the question is, why doesn't a jet engine just
Melt.
melt into a puddle?
We are right at the boundaries of the laws of physics. As well, it's at the same temperature now as it would be inside the jet engine. But here they're liquid.
I'm a unit of plane, I figured this is never gonna work.
And yet, it does work. Right now, there are over 10,000 planes in the sky powered by engines just like these. Maybe you are on one right now. So, how do they work? This is a jet engine, specifically a turbofan engine. At the front is this giant fan. During takeoff, these rotating blades push 1.3 tons of air backwards every second, and around 10% of that air gets compressed. The compressors force the air into increasingly narrow chambers. They compress the air to about 50 times atmospheric pressure. And just by doing that, the air heats up to around 600 degrees Celsius. This compressed air is then forced into the combustion chamber, where fuel is sprayed in through a ring of nozzles and ignited. That chemical reaction gives off a lot of heat, so the temperature jumps to around 1,500 degrees Celsius. So now you've got this high-pressure gas from the combustor that just wants to expand, and now it's got an incredible amount of thermal energy. But between the combustion chamber and the outside air is this: rows of turbine blades. So in order for the gas to expand and get out,
Turbine
it needs to
blade.
push these turbine blades out of the way. And in pushing the blades, that is how it transfers its energy to the engine. This is where all the power really comes from. In modern jets,
Gives us
on
one
takeoff,
roll.
each high-pressure turbine blade is generating as much power as a Formula One car. And there are 68 of them. As the gas rushes through the turbine and nozzle, its pressure drops from around 50 atmospheres down to 1, and it expands by almost 20 times. And that spins these turbine blades up to 12,500 revolutions per minute. The fan that is pushing all that air backward and all those compressors that squeeze the air down, all of that is powered by the turbines back here. It's a kind of funny, really counterintuitive way to think about an engine. It's what's happening in the back that's actually driving everything up front. As the hot exhaust gas is shot out the back of the engine, it pushes the engine forward. That generates thrust. But did you know that in a modern passenger jet, this accounts for less than 20% of the thrust of the engine? The vast majority of the thrust, over 80% of it, just comes from that big fan at the front of the jet. Remember how only 10% of the incoming air gets compressed? The other 90% bypasses all that. It's simply propelled backwards by the fan. It goes right around the guts of the engine and comes straight out the back. The fan pushes that air backwards, so the air pushes the fan forwards. That's how you get 80% of the thrust. It's basically a huge ducted propeller. So why do it this way? I mean, why not compress all the incoming air and put it all through the combustion chamber and turbines? Well, some fighter jets do exactly this, and it makes for very powerful engines. But they're also horribly inefficient. To see why, remember that the impulse pushing the plane forward is equal to the change in the momentum of the air backwards. So you've got options. For example, you could push twice as much air back half as fast, or you could push half as much air back twice as fast. Both will generate the exact same impulse, but the kinetic energy of the air is proportional to v squared. So it takes 4 times as much energy to speed up the air in the second case, and a lot of that energy is just wasted in the exhaust. So ideally, you want to push as much air backwards as possible with only a small change in velocity. That's why jets have gotten bigger and bigger over the years. And the increasing fraction of bypass air has the added benefit that it surrounds the hot exhaust gases, and that reduces noise coming away from the jet. But there is another major factor when it comes to engine efficiency, and that is temperature. At cruising altitudes around 35,000 feet, the outside air is around negative 55 degrees Celsius, while inside the engine, it's over 1,500 degrees Celsius. The hot, high-pressure gas inside the engine wants to expand into the much colder, lower-pressure air outside. It's that difference that lets the engine turn heat into useful work. But there's a fundamental limit to how much work any heat engine can get from that.
Just carry on doing my shit.
It's equal to 1 minus the temperature of the cold outside air divided by the temperature of the hot gas inside the combustion chamber. So
CFO misplaced her driver's license and key, so she can sit pretty as #passenger princess.
In my pinky pinky, right, baby? I get up.
If smart choices mean a great deal to you, box clever with a Rapster in original dunked or the new creamy barbecue from only $69.90. Genius.
So, looking at this, you can improve the efficiency of the engine in 2 ways. Either fly where the air is colder, or raise the temperature in the combustion chamber. One problem with that, though, is that it turned the inside of a jet engine into one of the harshest environments we have ever built, in which machinery has to survive.
To keep a turbine blade whole and unaffected within an engine is like putting an ice cube inside your oven, turning up to max, leaving for work, coming back after an 8-hour shift and finding it still completely frozen in the oven. That's what we've got to try and do within that engine.
It sounds absurd.
Not only do the turbine blades sit in a stream of gas that's over 1,500 degrees Celsius, They're also spinning at 12,500 RPM, with the tip of each blade slicing through the air at nearly 1,900 kilometers per hour.
Not
Now,
quite
every blade
the
wants to fly
speed
straight,
of
but
sound.
it's forced to spin in a circle, which means something has to be constantly pulling it inwards. That's the centripetal force. If you take a representative 300-gram high-pressure turbine blade and run it at that speed and radius, it has to be pulled inwards with a force equal to the weight of 20 metric tons. That's roughly the weight of 2 London double-decker buses tugging on each blade as it spins, all while they're glowing hot. To make matters worse, at these temperatures, oxygen wants to react with the metal of the blades itself. And on top of all that, the air rushing through the engine often carries dust, sand, and pollutants that can damage and erode the surfaces inside. And somehow, these blades have to survive this punishment for tens of thousands of flight hours without deforming, cracking, or failing. They really determine how efficient you can make the engine, because you can't make the engine so hot that the blades can't withstand that temperature. So they determine the maximum temperature of the combustion chamber and therefore the maximum efficiency you can realize with a jet engine. So what kind of metal could possibly survive these conditions?
Inconel.
Well, we sent Veritasium producer Amelia to the Department of Materials Science and Metallurgy at Cambridge University to put some different metals to the test.
So this is the steel?
This is the steel sample, yes.
Okay.
So we've got about 200 megapascals to start with, which is sort of comparable to some of the stress that's seen by these components in real applications. And we're going to put that stress on and then slowly increase the temperature.
This is a mild steel. It's relatively strong and easy to form into complex shapes. It seems like a pretty good bet for a turbine blade. And at first, under this load and at these low temperatures, it holds up pretty well. We're essentially tugging on all the atoms within the metal. We're not breaking or forming any bonds. We're just making them flex a little, and that slightly changes the spacing between the atoms, and as a result, the metal gets slightly longer. This resulting change in size, specifically the per unit change in length, is what we call strain. Critically, at this stage, the material is behaving elastically. If we remove the load right now, the material just snaps back to its original size. In an engine, some elastic deformation like this will occur. It can't be too big or it'll cause problems. But what we really don't want is plastic deformation, if the shape changes permanently. And that's exactly what starts to happen as we keep increasing the temperature.
It's getting hot now. That's a little bit of oxide.
I don't think
There
this
you go.
ink is
See this is starting
compatible.
to deform.
Now, bonds
It ain't
are breaking
compatible.
and reforming as the metal lattice deforms permanently. But this doesn't happen all at once. So I got the mechanical engineer on our team, Henry, to build this demo.
Please,
Okay, so
Henry,
you can see
hold
we're
us a
getting a
demo.
bunch of tiny little
Mate,
bubbles,
yes, a
and
good lad.
just naturally they're packing into this hexagonal arrangement. And there are actually a lot of materials that have
Second
atomic
one.
structures
Okay,
just
let's
like
try
this.
this brown
But
cookie.
you can see it's not perfect. Like right here, you can see there's an extra half plane of atoms. Well, in this case, bubbles. This is called an edge dislocation. It becomes really interesting when I try to pull this raft apart. You can see these little dark lines that zip back and forth. Those are dislocations, and they move through the lattice. As the dislocation moves, it'll cause one plane of bubbles to shear past the other one, which shifts the structure by exactly one spacing.
We give it a
But
while.
there isn't just one dislocation. There are plenty of them, and altogether their movement produces dramatic changes in the overall shape. That's exactly what's happening here. Everywhere that stress is high enough, billions of dislocations are moving and interacting. The steel starts to deform continuously under this constant load in a process called creep. It takes energy to break the atomic bonds as a dislocation travels through the lattice, so as we ramp up the temperature and all the atoms get more thermal energy, it no longer requires as much stress to break these
YouTube.
bonds. It becomes much easier for the dislocations
You
to
can
move.
watch my charge
The metal
light.
effectively gets softer. Now the steel's strength drops so much that the slow, time-dependent creep gives way to rapid deformation. As it stretches, it rapidly decreases in cross-section, and eventually the remaining metal can no longer bear the load. Now you could try doing similar tests for other metals, like this titanium alloy. Titanium is about half as dense as steel.
Should feel that's quite a bit lighter.
Yeah, it's like loads lighter.
So if we were to make turbine blades out of titanium, each blade would be much lighter, and that would reduce the enormous centripetal forces it would experience. So it seems like a great choice. And at first, it performs really well.
That's 100 degrees.
Just hang it in there.
But as we push the temperature higher,
Oh, I can see some glowing. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's gone already.
just like the steel, its strength drops rapidly as temperature increases, and that's true for most metals. Yet the first jet engine dating back all the way to 1941 actually did use steel turbine blades. It was designed by British pilot and engineer Frank Whittle. His engine powered the first flight of a British jet aircraft, the Gloucester E-2839 prototype. When a colleague excitedly told Whittle, "Frank, it flies," he dryly quipped, "That was bloody well what it was designed to do, wasn't it?" But Whittle's prototype had two major flaws. The first was that the gas inside the engine only reached temperatures of around 780 degrees Celsius, which was one of the reasons it was inefficient. And the second was that it was only allowed to fly for up to 10 hours. Any longer, and it was too likely parts inside the engine would fail. And both of these drawbacks were largely due to the steel turbine blades. Something that occurred to me is, why aren't they made out of tungsten? I mean, because tungsten doesn't melt until 3,400 degrees
Let me see
Celsius.
if I can get that
Or
star.
twice the temperature inside a modern jet engine. But tungsten is also incredibly dense. It's about 2.5
There's a star. I don't think it's a star. I think this is a planet. I'm looking west. I'm looking west. There it is, just coming over that light blocks it out there. Let me see if I can climb the ladder and show. I think it's a planet. I really think it's a planet. I don't think it's a star. Oh, damn it, we still can't see it. It's under that cloud. It's a planet. And my camera can't see it. Ah, there it is. What is that? What planet is that? It's almost due west. I'm in the southern hemisphere. There it is. And there's the dangerous palm tree. And there's the star. The first, well, I think it's a planet. I think that's a planet. I think it's a planet. Okay, well, better not fall off this ladder. Down I go. The hothouse is buzzing. I'm going to just take the live stream there anyway, because Jethro and Lucy's going to watch this. You see, I love planting plants, and I'm sure you will too. Love planting plants. I just plant plants and plants and plants and plants. And plants and plants. Here's my mango tree. My basil from Woolworths. Something is eating it. So I'm going to have to get in here and, yeah, it's got aphids. That's what it's got, aphids. So I'm going to get this infected baby and its little aphids right out of here and go put it in the direct sun for tomorrow. Better shake these aphids off like a bad case of fleas. Like a bad case of fleas. It's beautiful at night. It's beautiful here at night. Yeah, that is definitely a planet. You can see it. There it is. It's definitely a planet. It ain't a star, Mac. And my messy is the other part of the workshop. It's my smoker for the tobacco leaves. The kennel that I'm painting because it needs a paint job. And the kitchen needs a kitchen job. The hallway needs a hallway job. And the bedroom needs the biggest job of them all. I mean, look at this dressing table. I mean, what the fuck's going on here? I mean, this has all got to get sorted. It's all got to get sorted out. There's the world on the tree. What's that?
And then we can create our backup layers. So our backup layers is a much thicker slurry, more like a treacle, and the sand is much coarser, more like a granulated sugar. And we're going to maybe put 4, 5, maybe even 6 layers to back up, because what we need is a mold that can withstand the casting parameters that we're putting in there. You know, it's got a lot of work to do.
The wax is then melted out, and the mold is fired.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is wild.
Cleaned and tested to make sure there aren't any cracks. When it's done, this shell is ready to hold molten metal.
This is a billet of alloy that's going to fill the whole of that mold. So just that amount of metal is going to fill that whole mold there.
It doesn't look like enough.
This is a nickel alloy. The first nickel alloys used in jet engines were developed in the 1940s. By adding chromium and cobalt, engineers created alloys that could handle 800 to 900 degrees Celsius, around 100 degrees hotter than the steel used before. And these alloys could keep their strength for thousands of hours, a tenfold improvement in life. But the real breakthrough came when they added a touch of aluminum. So we wanted to see how it held up under the same lab conditions as the steel and titanium.
What temperature are we at now?
That's 700 degrees.
700. So steel's long gone.
Steel's not gone. That's 800 degrees. 800, yes.
In fact, around this temperature, it's actually getting stronger. So why would heating a metal make it stronger? Well, when these nickel alloys were first used in jet engines, no one actually knew. But about 10 years later, electron microscopes had improved enough for engineers to finally see what was happening inside. As we zoom in on the alloy, a pattern emerges. The microstructure isn't uniform.
Push that in.
Instead, it kind of looks like a city grid, made up of blocks with roads in between them. Only each block is so small, over 300 would line up across the width of a human hair. Now, surprisingly, both the roads and the blocks are made up of the exact same
Keep
atoms,
on injecting and
nickel
injecting.
with a little aluminum.
Just
They
bouncing
even have
that
the same
valve
crystal
up and
structure,
down.
A grid of tiny cubes with atoms sitting at the corners and at the center of each face.
Pretty
The
soon.
only difference is that the atoms are arranged slightly differently. In the road structure,
That's about
the
enough for
aluminum
there.
and nickel can take any
Then what I
slot.
do,
There is no from cube to
I
cube.
give this
This is known as
this
the gamma
cap
phase. But in aluminum,
couple of
always
drops.
takes the corner spots and nickel the faces, and you get a perfect review
And
at the cube. This is the gamma prime phase.
then I screw
And
it on.
it's this difference that is crucial. This location tries to
I
glide
take
through
the
the
cap
lines. In the roads, this motion is
and I
easy.
put
Each
the red
atom
cap
is
so it
shear
can
smooth as the
saturate
next,
that little
making the structure looking
felt
unchanged
tip
behind it.
there.
But if you try to do
And
the
she
same
goes.
thing in the blocks, well, now you're
And she's
completely
gonna wait
changing the
around.
order of the atoms. Nickel and aluminum end up sitting in the wrong
Let's
places.
see what happens.
That takes energy, so the last resists it. So
See
when
what
dislocation moving through
happens.
the roads hits a block, it gets stuck. And that's what makes this alloy
Sorry,
so
Derek,
strong.
but
But if
I'm
you keep
doing
pushing,
live
the
shit
stress
here.
gets high enough, dislocation can finally force its
I mean,
way in.
imagine having
The catch is that this
6
dislocation
million
leaves the lattice in
subscribers.
such a
I
high
mean,
energy mess
fuck
that
me.
the only way
Didn't
to
know what the
keep
fuck to
moving
do with
is if there's a
myself.
second one right behind it that puts things back in order. So in the gamma prime phase, dislocations have to travel in pairs, called super dislocations.
Super.
I need that creation of those super dislocations, and I need that very high stress to
Now.
be able to shear. So that's why the strength is very high relative to other alloys. What happens is ultimately because you're shearing through that gamma prime with 2 dislocations, as the temperature continuously increases, you're adding more and more thermal energy in the material. What happens is the atoms are going to vibrate more and more and more. So there's a likelihood, as I'm doing this and I'm oscillating in 3 dimensions, that the thermal energy is going to drive me to actually slip down rather than just slip in one plane. So now if one cross slips, they're no longer on the same plane.
Think of it as we're standing in line. And
So I'm gonna go put the dogs in the house.
Right? And then I keep on pushing you, and then suddenly you
Dogs
drop.
must
So
go
right as
in
I
the
push
house.
you, you're not like you're right in front of me, or your shoulder.
Diggity dogs? You guys ready to go in the house? You want to go inside? Hey? I'll take your bed in and I'll put you all inside now. All right. Okay, he's all right. Are you all alright? Hey? Hey, you guys all right? I'll let you inside the house now. Don't you worry. Here we go, Lex. I'll bring your bed. Joey's already started to disassemble the bed. Joey's already started taking the bed apart. Joey, you know what you've done. You know what you've done, Joey. Okay, let's put this. Come on. Come on, diggity dags. Come on, dogs. Oh, wait, Lexi, you can't get on yet. Lexi, I haven't put it. Come. I want to arrange the bed. No, not on there now. Okay, go and lie down, girl. There you are. That's a good girl. You lie down. Come on, Joe. Go on, Bob. You German, you don't understand a word I'm saying, do you? Hey, Sal, you don't understand neither. Yeah, you do. What do you say? How's that? Oh, kitty cat. Come, let's go see if you got food. Come, let's see if you got food. Come on. Ah, yeah, you got food. Okay. Right, you guys are going to behave here now. You guys are going to behave. You guys are going to behave. Right. Good night, Sal. I'll come and cover you just now if your dad isn't home. Enjoy yourselves. You close this here. And open this here. That's Tim. That's Tim. That is Tim. When he gets drunk. Okay, right, so dogs inside. Everybody's happy. I wonder if I must put the TV on for them. There the Spitfire comes in. There's the old Spitfire. Yeah. There's the 500 XR. And there's the dags, diggity dags, spark plugs, and all the good things. Right, so let me go back to the workshop. Hey, Joe, you can go inside if you want to, boy, but just don't pull the bed apart. Because your dad's going to be... You're going to be very, very... disappointed, if I could say that. So you're on back here again.
And more than 80% of what we mine ends up right here in jet engines. But even with these advancements in alloy chemistry, there's still one fundamental problem.
Fundamental.
That's that metals are crystalline. Any metal you see from the tip of this ballpoint pen to the spoon in my coffee cup, they're all actually made up of millions of little crystals stuck together. It's kind of like grains in this sugar cube. If I crush it, it's not like I've broken any individual crystal. I've just broken them apart. It's the boundaries between the grains that are the weak point. And it's the same thing in a metal. So if we zoom out from the gamma and gamma prime structure, it looks something like this. One crystal is basically a three-dimensional lattice of atoms all lined up in the same orientation. But the crystals themselves are all in different orientations. So where they meet, their lattices don't line up. And that mismatch leaves more open spaces and broken bonds, and you also get defects there, like vacancies and impurities, all of which make grain boundaries the weakest point. And this also has another consequence. It makes it easier for atoms to move along the boundaries. They become kind of superhighways for atomic diffusion. This becomes even more of a problem at high temperatures when atoms have more energy to move around. Add stress, like the massive centrifugal loads on a turbine blade, and the grains can actually start to slide past each other. The whole structure slowly deforms, stretching almost like warm taffy. As long as it has grains in it, it will creep and fail far more easily. And that's a really hard problem to solve, because normally as a molten alloy cools, tiny crystals start to form all throughout the liquid. So you have to find some way to control them.
This is one of our furnaces. They're all induction heated, there's no kind of gas fire or anything like that, and they're all under vacuum, so we only cast under vacuum in the absence of any atmosphere, but particularly oxygen, which is obviously
a bad one, eh?
It causes all kinds of problems with oxides.
You start by pouring molten superalloy into a ceramic mold that's mounted vertically and heated to about the same temperature as the melt. The mold fills from the root up toward the tip. At the very bottom of the mold sits a copper plate cooled by water. Its surface is patterned with tiny grooves that act as nucleation points for the first crystals to start to form. It's here that solidification begins. Then the entire mold is slowly lowered out of the hot zone, so the solidification continues in just one direction.
It's a very slow process in the magnitude of hours. Once that's finished, the whole machine will then index round, and it will push the completed mold up out of the other side.
Oh, wow.
So our casting temperatures are roughly 1500 degrees Celsius.
It's kind of at the same temperature now as it would be inside the jet engine. So it's absurd. Like you're making the turbine blades at the same temperature that they're going to operate, but like here they're liquid.
Yeah, but you cool them down, you idiot.
On its own, you'd end up with a blade that looks like this.
Here's a directionally solidified blade. And what you can probably see there is the contrast between the grains. These are all different crystals, but they're all running on this axis of the blade, which makes it significantly stronger than an alloy that is cast, where all of the crystals are separate from each other.
So those are like individual crystals?
These are individual crystals, yeah, absolutely. So we're looking at crystals on kind of a macro level, where normally we'd be talking about crystals on a micro level.
In a rotating turbine, the blade is being pulled along its length, with columnar crystals all lined up along this span. The blade can carry those stresses far more effectively. There are no grain boundaries that cut across the blade, creating weak points for it to crack. But scientists have found a way to do even better. If you introduce a bend in the mold just above the chill plate, something strange happens. The number of columnar crystals that make it through drops sharply. And if you add another bend, even fewer survive. So engineers added a helical passage known as the pigtail here at the bottom of the mold.
The pigtail is doing the job to select the single crystal. The spiral is going to choke out every other grain bar one. So we're only going to have one grain that is then going to grow through the entirety of that blade and cast that blade as a single crystal, or at least that's the theory.
That's crazy.
So this is a starter attached to a spiral that we've etched so that we can reveal that structure. So you can see down at the bottom, we are starting to grow directionally solidified grains. But as we get up here, we can start to see that we're growing directionally solidified grains. And then as we're going up the spiral, the grains are starting to be choked out by the upper surfaces of that spiral. Until when we get to the top, we're just as a single crystal. And then that then allows that to grow right the way through the blade. And what we should end up with is a blade like this. So this is a blade of a single crystal. It's a really impressive thing to look at.
Single crystal.
The shimmer is beautiful.
Yeah. Even after the blade solidifies, it's still not ready for the engine. It's heated again, almost to its melting point, and that might sound risky because we've spent all this time making sure it's a perfect single crystal, but this heating step lets the atoms shuffle around just enough to spread out evenly and form the final desired microstructure of the gamma and gamma prime phases that make these superalloys so strong.
And as if casting as a single crystal is not enough, actually the orientation of that crystal is also of paramount significance. So you may have cast this as a single crystal, but if the crystal orientation is off by a certain amount, you get completely different stress responses within that blade.
Today, after decades of development, over 95% of blades can be cast successfully as single crystals. Just think about how incredible that is. We've gone from a turbine blade that contained on the order of 50,000 crystal grains down to just one. When we grow these things, they don't solidify as a uniform front. On a microscopic scale, the solidification front looks like a forest of tiny tree-like branches called dendrites that are pushing their way into the liquid. At first glance, it looks messy, like millions of separate trees jostling for space. There are up to 10 elements in there, each with its own density and melting point, yet somehow every one of those trees is locked into the exact same crystal lattice. So the final crystal is comprised of more than 6 times 10 to the 24 atoms. That is more stars than there are in the observable universe. And all these atoms are repeating the same pattern, perfectly aligned from root to tip. This completely transformed what jet engines can do. Single crystal blades can withstand stresses and temperatures that would destroy ordinary alloys. They last up to 9 times longer against creep and thermal fatigue, and are more than 3 times more resistant to corrosion than blades made from multiple grains. That's why modern jet engines can now run for 25,000 hours between major overhauls, something that would have been unthinkable before single crystal blades.
That being neutral.
And the impact has been huge. Between 1960 and 2010, jet aircraft became about 55% more fuel efficient. And a huge part of that improvement comes down to advances in these nickel
I've got me a
superalloys.
controller for my lights, for my other invention.
Was a luxury few could afford. A one-way flight from New York to Paris would set you back $310, which is about $3,750 adjusted for inflation. But as engines became more efficient, able to handle hotter cores,
We're going to have to start getting a lot more efficient, Sonny.
airlines could carry more people farther using less fuel. So tickets got cheaper and air travel exploded. Today, at any given moment, there are roughly 10,000 to 14,000 planes in the sky. That scale of movement is possible because of these turbine blades.
Can you imagine your social media company running itself? Customer support emails being answered automatically. Invoices getting sorted without effort. And sales closing while you have a coffee. Illustrating this video, I'm going to show you how to implement AI. So your company runs practically on autopilot. With AI, your marketing and your social channels manage themselves. Post, schedules, strategy, everything adjusts automatically based on your audience's response. Because remember, if you're not online, you are not selling. So forget about losing hours on repetitive tasks. And yes, we've all spent hours checking the inbox and replying one by one. With AI, you can automate customer replies so they receive instant messages that are personalized, fast, and effective, without you investing time in tasks that do not create value. High voices and admin errors overwhelming you. AI can also capture and organize all your documents automatically in Excel, neatly arranged and free of human error, everything ready and in order, so you can focus on what really matters, increasing revenue and winning more clients. And speaking of clients, AI can help you attract more with tools like Sales or a sales chatbot. The virtual assistant answers questions, recommends products or services, and closes sales in real time, serving all your customers at once.
Your customers.
If your company depends only on you, working non-stop, it will never truly grow. I'm Jordi Segura, an AI engineer, and I've trained more than 300,000 people who, like you, started from zero. My colleague Daniel Garcia Cordero, and I would like you to invite you to AI 3-4, a free 4-day training program where we will take you from zero to expert, helping you master AI, streamline your business, and attract more clients. Plus, just for registering, you will receive an exclusive gift, the 7 common mistakes when beginning with AI, plus 7 extra AI resources available as you get ready for the training. Click the button now and get your free spot.
Just plug the top.
I just made a $27 ebook, 2 minutes using AI. Watch how I did it so you can do it too. Here I am, a designer, and the
That's how I
first thing
picked
you'll
my
notice
lotto
is
with
this
ink spots.
clean, user-friendly interface.
Those are winning
Now
lotto
watching
numbers.
closely, I'm clicking Create New Project and selecting Word Genie. This is where the magic happens. All I need to do is type in a topic. Let's go
My
with
camera's
social media
battery
marketing tips for small businesses. Hit enter
actually
and boom. In
is
seconds,
charged
designer has
full.
crafted a complete ebook outline. But we're not stopping there. Look at this. Fully fleshed out chapters and subheadings. If you want to
This
tweak
is
anything,
Canon,
just
good
click and
products.
edit. It's that simple. Now
Canon
watch this.
cameras,
I'm
good
clicking this
products.
button
Let
here,
me
and
tell
just like
you
that,
one
we
thing.
have a complete ebook.
Yes,
But
sir.
Designer isn't just about speed. It's about quality
Stick a
and
little bit.
customization too.
I think I'm going
Let's
to do a
choose a
little
template. There are
little
hundreds to pick
expose
from, all
of
professionally designed. I like this
my-
one for our marketing ebook. See how Designer instantly formats our
of
content?
my
Headers, body, text, and even
camera.
placeholder images, all perfectly laid out. Want to change something?
I'm going to do
No
a little
problem. Swap out images with a click,
documentary
adjust
on my
layouts on the fly,
camera.
even add your own branding.
With a
When you're happy with your
douchebag.
ebook, just hit publish. PDF, flipbook, even Kindle format, Designer does it all. And there you have it, a professional, engaging ebook created from scratch in 2 minutes. Now I can sell this, use it as a lead magnet, whatever I want, thanks to Designer. With over 350,000 customers in 70 plus countries and countless 5-star reviews, Designer is trusted by customers worldwide. So what are you waiting for? Click this ad now to start your free trial today.
Turn this camera around so I can see what the hell's going on. I can see what the hell's going on.
In the furnace, the nickel superalloy outperforms all the other samples, surviving up to 1200 degrees Celsius. But wait, that's still 300 degrees less than the temperature inside a jet engine. So why don't the blades melt? Well, there are 2 final layers of defense. The first is built into the shape of the blade itself.
We then have to leach the core out, so we do that in a caustic solution of potassium sodium hydroxide under pressure and temperature to leach the core out. That will leave those core passages completely empty.
And those passages are the real secret to the turbine blade's survival.
So as the air is flowing through, it is turbulent, and as such it can remove much more heat from the surface of the blade than if it was...
Is it these ridges here that
exactly,
we're talking about?
Yeah, these ridges here.
They're intentional to trip the flow.
To trip and turbulate that airflow so that it's removing as much heat as possible from the metal. So then we get onto the really juicy part, which is film cooling. So we talked about the ice cube in the oven stat, keeping our
Good
blades
product.
as cool as
I
possible.
can recommend
So
this
this
one.
is where we start to drill in.
I've
what we
used
call
this
film cool
hundreds
holes.
of times.
And what we're aiming to do is we're aiming
I'm not
to get
advertising for
into
them,
those
but I'm going
cooling
to show
passages.
what,
So we saw that
if
core
something's
earlier
good,
on. They are the cooling
whether
passages
people make
inside.
money out of it or not, I
These
don't
holes
care.
have
If
got
something's
to get
good,
right
I
into those
promote
cooling
it.
passages to allow that air to come out, and the air is then going to blow as a film over the surface of the blade. A film cool hole to create a film of air, which is preventing that metal from melting in those temperatures.
This cooling air isn't exactly cold. It actually comes from the high-pressure compressor section of the engine at around 600 degrees Celsius, but that is cool enough to help keep the blades from melting. But it's still not quite enough.
I'm going to open it.
And you can't
That's
just add
safety.
more cooling air, because every extra bit of air you use from the compressor, you lose from thrust and actually make the engine less efficient. So every turbine blade is also coated with 2 protective layers. First, a thin metallic bond coat that resists oxidation, and then a ceramic top coat.
This mustn't
Even though
come
it's
undone
only about
underwater,
1/4 of a millimeter
otherwise
thick, this ceramic coating can keep the
you
metal
have a
beneath
problem.
it
This
100
comes
to 170
undone
degrees
underwater.
cooler than it would otherwise be. And this is the final barrier that stops the blades from melting. So now we've got this insane piece of engineering that can survive the 1500-degree gas, the intense load, and the oxidation. Problem should be solved. Well, it would be, except for one thing.
At 36,000 feet, you wouldn't believe this, but there's dirt and dust in the atmosphere that our engines are ingesting. The dirt and dust comes and it sticks on the blades, but it also goes through the whole cooling circuit, and it blocks the cooling from getting through to cool the blades. And then the blades burn up. Every time I get on a plane, I'm thinking this is never going to work. No, I mean, it's incredible.
It's a digital
how
camera.
an
This
engine
is
can
what
work, because there's so many moving pieces. There's so many parts of the environment.
digital
so
cameras
terrible,
work.
and now we have this dust and dirt, which is really bad.
I am at testbed 80, and they're about to fire up this jet engine and then throw dust into it. The same stuff that makes up sand and volcanic ash.
Joey, oh, what is he barking at an aeroplane?
So this engine is the 97K.
Joey!
The A350, and is our high thrust version of that. So 97,000 pounds of thrust is what this engine's producing. When we're running an engine like this, we try and carefully recreate exactly what happens in service.
One thing that bugs me, and that's a dog that barks.
How much dust goes in the engine?
Battery goes
Very much.
in, yeah,
It
Jack.
was surprising when I found out exactly how much we put in. It's in the order of tablespoons worth per cycle.
So that's the pan. Ignition power on.
Such a long time since I've done this.
That's the fuel lever on. Start request in 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. See if she comes on.
So what does the dust actually do inside a jet engine?
So
I
once
can't
it gets
even
through to the
remember
hot
how to
section of
switch
the
it on.
engine and hits kind of turbine blades, it's going to be melted.
Can't
And so
even
it
remember.
sticks
Ah, here
to
we
the
go.
outside of
Come on.
our turbine components, and it slowly rips
Come on.
layers of that
Come on.
thermal barrier coating off. And then you lose your temperature
I got a
reduction
light.
from the barrier coating, so that your nickel alloy underneath
I
it
got a
gets
light.
hotter and hotter, and that's when it starts to deteriorate the turbine.
Ah. This is so cool. It still works.
Developing new ceramic coatings designed
This
to
is
resist
so
molten
cool.
dust and
Okay, I
extend
want to
the
put
life
it on
of the turbine
play.
by up
I
to
don't want to
30%.
destroy any
That's just the latest step in a
play.
story that's been
There's tape
unfolding for
inside here.
decades. These blades have been refined and perfected to the point where they operate right at the edge of what is physically possible. You're always on a knife edge, pushing every material, every process to the limit to build an engine that can do the seemingly impossible, run hotter than its own melting point. The more I learned about the brutal environment these blades have to survive, the more
I'd be
it felt
so
like
disappointed
they shouldn't work at all.
if there was no
They do. Every day, these machines carry millions of
open
people
eject.
across the world, and we barely stop to think about them. They're a monument to human ingenuity, what happens when we refuse to accept limits, when we turn the impossible into the routine.
Come on. Eject this
I
motherfucker.
can't grow a single crystal turbine blade in my kitchen, but with the help from this video sponsor, KiwiCo, I can grow a crystal garden with my kids. This month, they sent us their crystal garden chemistry kit. We set everything in place, mixed up the chemical solution, and then watched as colorful crystals started to bloom over the next 48 hours. Every few hours, my kids would run back to check how much the garden had grown. They were totally fascinated, and it sparked so many questions about crystals and atoms, how things are arranged. Pretty soon, we were talking about how metals are crystalline too, and setting ourselves the challenge of growing one giant crystal, turbine blade style. I love how simple KiwiCo makes this. Everything we needed came right in the box, so we could just open it up and dive straight in, doing the experiment. And it's not just chemistry, they've got crates for robotics, engineering, art, design techniques, and so much more. There is something for every age and interest. KiwiCo crates also make a great gift for the holidays. It's creative, hands-on, and gives kids something they can actually make and be proud of.
They're kind of messy and like hard to make, but not too hard, but hard enough to make it fun.
So if you want to try out KiwiCo, click the link in the description or scan this QR code. Use my code.
It's so embarrassing. I don't know how to use something that I took hours and hours and hours and hours of footage under the ocean with this camera. How do I rewind the fucking thing? Focus photo. I don't want focuses. I want rewind. I want to rewind, motherfucker. What part about rewind don't you guys understand, yeah, on this camera? There it is. And it works. I'm going to charge this battery up a little bit more. And then I'm going to do the number on it with the remote. It's got a remote. And I can do a better tutorial on how to open my own camera. I haven't used this camera in 20 years.
This is a microchip. When you zoom in, you find a nanoscopic computing city. Skyscrapers, hundreds of layers tall, with hundreds of kilometers of wires connecting everything.
I haven't used this in
At the very
10
bottom
years.
is this. Transistors. Billions of them.
Yeah.
They are the ones and zeros of our computer. The chip works by whizzing electrons from transistor to transistor. And the smaller you can make those transistors, the less the signals have to travel, so the faster they can compute. Plus, you can fit more transistors into the same area, resulting in a much more powerful chip.
Okay, Canon.
So for over 50 years, transistors got smaller and smaller.
This
The
was
number you could fit on a chip doubled every 2
cutting
years.
edge.
This became known as Moore's Law,
We've
named
gone
for
from
Intel's
this.
co-founder Gordon Moore after he noticed the pattern back in 1965, and it's been one of the main drivers of the tech industry. But around 2015, progress came to a screeching halt, and we might have never gotten past it if it wasn't for a single company that makes these machines, the machines that saved Moore's Law.
Holy. This is a video about the most complicated commercial product humanity's ever built. That's insane. It costs a whopping $400 million.
I'm gonna end this stream and then I'm gonna come back. End of stream.
Imagine you are shrunk down to the size of an ant. And you're given a laser that's strong enough to melt through metal like butter. Next, a tiny droplet of molten tin, roughly the size of a white blood cell, is shot out in front of you around 250 kilometers
End
per
of
hour.
stream.
Your task is to hit this
Engaging
upwards,
again
not twice,
in 1
but 3
hour
times in a row
from
in
now.
20 microseconds with your little laser. Well, that is exactly what this machine does.